Hi everyone, welcome back to our Beadaholique live class. I'm Kat Sylvia and today I'm joined by Julie Bean and Sarah Diamond. So we are here to talk all about selling and displaying your jewelry like a pro. So we have many years of combined experience. So we're going to be talking just about all the, kind of take you from beginning to end of how do I start, what is it like at a show? How do I sell online? How do I price my stuff? How do I display it? So we have just a ton of stuff that we're going to just be going over in this wonderful class here. So thank you, ladies, for joining me.
Yeah, and
no problem.
We would love your questions. So we
Yes.
definitely are here to answer a lot of questions. We know we've gotten a lot over the years, and that's why we wanted to do this class. So this is really your opportunity to put those questions down, and we will try to answer as many as we can during this class.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said leave a question because we have a giveaway. So let's go ahead and start with that because I know you are all excited because if you've joined us before, you know we have a giveaway.
What is it? What is it?
What is it? All right,
Oh,
so
it's this.
it is and we are going to be giving you the tray as well. So I'm just going to kind of bring this out front. Oh, thank you. I was going to say, this one's a heavy one. So what you're going to get for this giveaway, it is well over $50 of a value. You're going to get this beautiful linen tray here. You're going to get the linen bust, and you're going to get this little insert here. So we're going to kind of kick you off with a little style to help display your jewelry. You're also going to get one of our Boho gemstone memory wire kits, and we're going to be giving you it. And this is the actual finished piece that you'll be able to make with that. Isn't it gorgeous? That is launching today, so you're the first to have it. And then we're going to give you a couple little things that might help you at a show or as you're selling your jewelry. We're going to give you some anti-tarnish bags, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in a while. But then we're also going to be giving you some Kraft bags here, a little assortment of some fun styles to help kick that off for you.
I love this one.
That is one of my favorites. And we're giving you that style in 2 different sizes, actually, so that's very cool. And then we're also going to give you a multi-sizer, a ring sizer, and this is a great little thing to bring to a show if you have it, if people want to find out what their ring size is. We're going to give you a little tool set as well and some anti-tarnish pads. So you're going to get a lot of stuff that's going to help you at a show or even online help to sell your stuff. So all you need to do to win this is just leave a comment or a question. Anything will enter you to win. Just let us know where you're tuning in from or what's the last show that you may have done or something like that. Just anything that you want to share with us, questions, anything's welcome, and it will enter you for the giveaway. So,
Everyone's looking at me.
Well, we're so happy to have you here.
I get real nervous to be in front of the camera. These guys are pros.
But we really wanted you here because we know you've done a lot of shows too, which is exciting. So we really wanted you to be part of this.
Oh yeah, I kind of jumped in at the deep end when I started. I think maybe most people have maybe been to a swap meet or a gift show in their time, and then all of a sudden you're on the other side of the table and you're going, help.
And we've all had that feeling when you're on the other side and you're like, what am I doing?
There's nothing like that first show where it's just like, you have this sort of like first day of school kind of like feeling. It's just like, oh, does anybody like me? Yeah. And it's just like, oh, please come look at my things.
Oh my God. My very first show, I wangled a spot in a friend's booth, which is like a great way to save money on your first show, by the way. And I'm not even kidding you. I had like a TV dinner table in the corner, and I had like 12 little necklaces, and I was a beginner beader. I'm just going to put that out there. Laid on this table. I did not have these beautiful display objects. I think, maybe I had a placemat or something. And, nobody bought anything, obviously. And I learned a lot that day. And I'm serious. I did.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll be glad to share as points come up. But there's always a learning period. And there's always that time when maybe it's not going as well as you want.
Yeah.
Well, I think that really speaks to what I believe is when you are just starting out, just do it. Like you just did it. You have to jump in somewhere, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have that huge display. You don't have to have 2 years worth of stock. You got to just get started, and then you're going to learn something. So
absolutely, you learn from people's reactions. You get a feeling by really looking around the event that you're at. If that's a gift fair, craft fair, swap meet. See what else is going on, and you get a feel of how you're fitting in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think, I know we're going to impart hopefully a lot of really good information, but try not to get overwhelmed because you can do this. If you're
Yeah.
thinking about doing it, you haven't done it before, and it's really something you've been wanting to do, you can do it, and it doesn't have to be that hard. Not everything has to be perfect to start with. You can get going and then slowly build.
Well, and actually, I would say don't try to get everything together
Yeah.
when you first start because you don't know what's going to work.
Right.
Start small, see what people are gravitating towards, see the look that you want to do. Maybe you tried to sell gemstone jewelry because you thought that's what you really wanted to do, but then you got into bead weaving and you realized that that's really where your heart lies. So don't go out and spend too much money getting all kinds of stuff.
Do not
when
spend
you're
the money.
Yeah, like when you're just starting, like
Yeah.
I know we're talking about that you want to sell the jewelry, so you want to make that a big part of it, but you might also realize, hey, I thought I wanted to do black busts, but now all my stuff is black, so maybe I should do white, So you just got to kind of gauge it as you go, and you will, as the more you do shows and the more you sell online and that kind of stuff. So that would just be my first nugget of parting wisdom is don't go crazy right away.
Yeah, I would
I
say
agree.
really look for ways to do it without spending a lot of money just to be at the show. I mean,
Yeah.
you do spend some money on your materials, and hopefully you're making the jewelry because you really enjoy it and you love what you're making. So
Right.
that's not ever a waste.
Right.
But to suddenly jump in and say, I'm going to buy a really expensive table at a really expensive show and have it not be a good fit, that is a waste of money.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
if
you just said that you shared a table for your very
I
first show.
had
That's smart.
a friend, Chris Belomo, the president of this company, who he was actually had a previous life with a clothing company, and he was selling extra of the clothes. What do you call it when there's extra clothes?
Like overstock.
overstock, out of season last year, and he decided he's a go-getter, and he decided he was gonna sell these things at swap meets, and so I was his assistant. This is pre-Beadaholique, people.
Way back in the day.
This is, we wrote our dinosaurs in, and and I was help him set up. It was a lot of labor.
Yeah.
And he would give me here's $50, and I get to look at the fair. And so one day I lost my mic. Hello. So one day I convinced him to let me put that tiny, tiny table in the corner of his booth. And still get paid, by the way.
You're like, that's how I figured it out.
And so that effort didn't actually cost me anything, though it taught me a lot.
Yeah, well, and that's good. And, you find a little way to start. Or, if you have a friend that's already selling jewelry, go with them to a show and just see what it's like being there all day.
Be
and,
an assistant. If you have a friend who's selling kind of anything,
Yeah,
at a
anything,
swap
really.
meet, at a gift meet, go that first time. The first time, don't ask to put your stuff in the corner. Just go and be the assistant and just really see how it feels.
Yeah, everything from the setup to, interacting with people to the teardown. Just get a chance to experience that whole thing,
And get a chance to experience the physical demands.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then if, you have a couple friends who do different types of crafts, you can all go in on a table. I know a lot of people do that. You can have one friend who makes jewelry, one who makes candles, another who does T-shirts, and you guys can form a group and then go in together, which is a really great way to. You can split all the expenses, but you also have partners there, which can make it a little bit easier because you've got helpers and partners. You guys are all working together.
Bathroom break
Bathroom break,
coverage.
lunches, all those different
We've
things.
all tried to, sneak a sandwich in the back.
Oh, can I help you?
Don't bring gooey food
No.
to a show.
Wet wipes.
Yes, hand sanitizer and wet wipes.
Oh, we definitely have our little pack that we're going to show you guys in a little bit later. But before we get into actually selling at a show and everything that goes into that, I want to first start with what it takes to sell online.
Okay, that's a good place to start.
And it's funny because we've been doing this for many years, so we've actually experienced the sort of pre-selling online to this digital revolution to the selling online, having these Etsy and Shopify applications and whatnot, and Instagram is still very new and recent, to kind of what that means and how that started and if that's the right thing for you. It might not be. So that's one thing I want to say is just selling online just might not be your thing.
Which is totally okay.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
There's no right way for every single person.
Yeah.
It's not uniform. So you might do great online, or you might not, or you might do great in shows, or you might not. And I think you have to try both. You have to try the different avenues to see what works for you and what you enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about selling online.
All right, I'll speak generally because I do have an online bead company.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, you've heard it. So when I started, and I was by myself, and I was selling stuff on eBay, and I loved finding the beads. I sort of liked photographing them, but it was pretty primitive. And I loved writing about why I loved those particular beads and putting it on eBay. What I didn't love personally was the fact that once someone, puts their money down and says, I want it, like I had to be prompt. I had to reply. I had to be organized. I had to pack everything, and I had to mail it. And back in those days, there was none of this online stamps. I had to go down to the post office and park and stand in line. And I found that part was really kind of boring for me. And then I did partner up with Chris, and he's like a worker bee, and he was like, I'll go to the post office. So it was great. But so I feel that if I was selling jewelry, finished jewelry online, I would have to consider, how all of those are parts of the process. Which am I good at photography? Do I enjoy writing about the piece and telling people why I think it's so great? And can I provide all the little measurements they want? And then can I deliver promptly? Because this day and age online, they will tell you if they waited a day too long for the package. And you have to deliver from beginning to end. And if you're more of the super creative type, that might not be so great for you unless you have an assistant.
You do have to have a business mindset if you're going to sell online, exactly like what you were saying, because you are running a business. Even if you sell 1 or 2 pieces a month, you still have to answer, be on top of it, and you have to be checking whatever emails attached to that. I know some people use many different emails, but it's like, you really do, you don't want to miss out on a sale. But it does take a lot of sort of that business work
and you
of doing
don't
all
want
that.
a bad review.
Right.
Yeah, because bad reviews can hurt you,
Yeah.
So I think one important thing is if you are selling online, have all of your policies and everything predetermined and set up ahead of time. So are you going to commit to shipping in 2 days? Or are you going to say 5 days?
Yeah.
Have that up front. Are you going to take returns? Are you not going to take returns? What is your pricing? What is your shipping cost? Who are you going to ship with? Think about all of that before you put it up there online and commit, and really do be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to ship in 2 days? If you take a custom order, can you fulfill it in 2 weeks? What are those policies? And have all of that laid out, not only for your customer, but for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you know. And
I mean,
are
you know
clear.
what your life commitments are. You know how busy you are with other things, and that only you can determine if you can invest. It's not so much a lump of time as regular time every day, and not procrastinating.
Well, and you can actually, for a lot of these online platforms, they offer vacation mode. So if you are going on vacation, for a week or a long weekend or even, and you're not going to check that email, put it on vacation.
Absolutely.
Let people know when you're going to be back, and the shop's going to be back up and running in case someone was interested. But don't try to think, no one's going to, I want to just leave it up there. No one's going to buy, because then someone will.
That will be the time
That
to buy.
will be the day
Absolutely.
that
Every
someone
time.
writes to you and says, "I'm having a bit of an emergency, and could you send it right away?"
I need it tomorrow, whatever. And it's just like, no. You're like, I'm in Costa Rica. So
Well, some of us are in Costa Rica. I don't know.
I've never been to Costa Rica. I'd like to go one day.
Yeah,
sounds lovely.
Me too.
Yes.
Let's go. Bye. But yeah, so definitely just work within what you can do and what you're comfortable with. I know for a while when I first started shipping online, I would not ship internationally. Just because I didn't want to have to deal with it or customs. I didn't know what the payment structure was going to be, so I just started domestically. And then when someone would ask me, I'd say, okay, where are you? And then I'd try to make an exception. I'd get a little bit more information, because if I'm shipping to France or England, it's very different than trying to ship to, South America or any of these other countries. So, it's just every country has a little bit of a different policy. So that was a decision that I made. So that's an example.
Yeah, it's a good principle. Start small. When you first start, keep keep your boundaries small and tight until you're sure you know what you're doing and you feel confident, and then you can gradually add more pieces, add more sales areas, just do more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just always add, if you want to do something custom or, if you're open to it, just say contact for inquiries. That's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Someone, if they're interested, they'll message you. You know.
Yeah. Well, I think the big advantage to online is you can do it right away. You can actually say, I want to start selling my jewelry, and tonight you could be selling your jewelry. I mean, you can get going right away. There's usually lower intro fees as opposed to doing like a trade show. You're going to have a booth fee, things like that. So lower fees, you could do it right away. You could do it from anywhere in the world. You can do it from home. Those are all really great advantages of selling online.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I think we have our question.
Hey.
Yeah, we got a couple questions. Diane wanted to know if we have any photo tips for photographing.
Yeah.
So Diane is asking if we have any good photo tips. So yes, we're going to be talking about that. So let's talk about that now as we're talking about online. I have an iPhone, and that's where I take my pictures. You can edit right in there. There's lots of editing apps. The only thing I would say is make sure that the color is really accurate. And make sure that you have at least one photo that shows scale, whether you show it on a model or you take a photograph and include like a quarter or a penny or something
Or
there.
a teacup.
Or a teacup, yeah, just something to show scale so that someone doesn't get it and is like surprised. So that's basic, but photos are so important, especially when selling online.
What kind of backgrounds do you like to use? I mean, I'm not the greatest photo taker myself, and I always feel like, gosh, if I had the right background or a different light or something.
So you know what I did? I bought a piece of foam board, and then I bought some contact paper that looked like white marble, and I stuck it down because I didn't want to have this like marble like cutting board.
Secrets revealed.
Secrets revealed. So that's what all my photos are taken on. But I chose something that was white because I use a lot of elements that are black, or I don't do a lot of silver. I do a lot of gold personally. So that worked for me.
Oh, contrast.
But, so to show that contrast. I know a lot of people will use like a piece of wood or something if that's kind of their style.
I use vintage postcards because they're kind of that tan color, and I find it easier to color correct when there's like a tan color in the image. I don't know why, but it's just easier to color correct when my piece of jewelry is on that tan and then there's like white in the background versus trying to color correct pure white and trying to make it so like when you're looking at a website with a white background and it's listed on there, trying to make all those whites match.
Yeah,
that can be difficult.
And then Alex Dash, our wonderful photographer here at Beadaholique, he gave me some great tips. He said, always shoot outside if you can. Use natural
Sunlight is the best light.
Sunlight is best light. And then he said to wear a white t-shirt. So you become your white reflector.
Yep.
So I thought that was so clever. I was like, oh, okay. So instead of me wearing pattern or dark, I wear a white t-shirt. And then I also have a piece of like white cardboard that I just prop up off to the side to also bounce the white. Okay. So it creates almost like a little white box outside because you're white and it's white. So I definitely like to do that. And I don't know why, it might just be my imagination, but if you have some other piece of color besides your jewelry in that photo, whether it's a postcard, a flower, whatever, it just makes it easier to color correct. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah, you have...
Something's happening. Like
you have a reference and you have something to stop yourself from color correcting too much.
Yeah, like blowing it out and making it too white.
You kind of go, well, no, I know that's not the color of that rose.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you have another clue. I would just make an observation. I've observed from watching Alex and just everything that you guys are saying is that neutral colors, and by neutral I mean gray, like this table, silver is going to look good on this gray.
Yeah.
And gold won't look bad.
Right.
So a kind of mid gray or even a darker gray if you have a really, you don't want to get too contrasty because then your camera eye on your phone can get fooled and it will blow out the highlights, make them too white.
Right.
But also beige.
Yeah.
Is a neutral, as you were saying, on your sepia tone postcards.
Yeah.
And then, white and black are the extremes. But again, they can create a high contrast situation where your phone camera may not give you the best exposure.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I would have a matte surface. I wouldn't do a shiny surface.
Correct.
Yeah, shiny surfaces can be tough. I mean, especially if you're going to get a little lens flare happening in there. But yeah, I mean, even just sort of this linen color is actually kind of great because it has a little texture to it. Yeah. So if you have, something where it's a lot of round beads or something and you put it on a texture, it actually makes it kind of come out of it. So the other thing I would say is that depending on the platform, you can have many photos or like just a couple. So I would try to have as many photos as you can. So show a close-up of the clasp, show a close-up if you have, if you're working with sterling silver and you have the 0.925, show that. It shows people that it's true sterling silver. I would just, again, show like close-up stuff, show like sort of, what am I trying to say? Structure, like this is what it is, very plain, but then have the pretty photo, with the flower or the teacup and stuff, and then have that be your first photo, something that someone would stop at, because when you're shopping online, your eyes are glazing over so much. You want to be that one that goes, ooh, that,
you maybe have a couple seconds to catch someone's eye. So, and one thing that I would say about online is, bear in mind that if someone's going through a list of jewelry on, say, Etsy, they might be looking at little thumbnails that are this big, and so you don't want it to be too far away a shot so the necklace just looks like a tiny circle. You want a close-up of a really pretty part of the necklace so that someone goes, ooh, what's that? And they click on it.
Yeah, and then you can have your photo down the line of like, here's just a top down, but it looks really tiny, just so you know that it's really tiny, So.
And you can also include a photo of your packaging, and you can use that same photo for all your listings too. So if, say, you package them in little gift boxes tied with bows or whatever, you can just put that photo as photo 8 or whatever in all your listings.
Like
like
something
that.
Like this.
Let people know they're going to get that. That's an added value. It's an added benefit. And
it's gift wrap.
It's gift wrap. Let people know that. Convey that to them.
Yeah.
And we do have another question.
All right, so Audrey is asking
Hi, Audrey.
about store names. Is a name necessary for your online store? And any tips on creating names?
Ooh. All right,
that's
so
a
she's
good
asking
question.
about your online store name. Is it necessary, and any tips? So I've actually had several businesses, and
What were they?
dollhouse miniatures, handmade purses, jewelry. I work with my husband now with his artwork, so a lot of different things. And I've gone through a lot of different names. And at this point, I really like just using my name. You know what? Because people then can get to know me as the designer. So you can definitely have a fun name, but also consider your own name. Like either making it, like I could be Julie Bean Designs or Julie Bean Creates or just Julie Bean.
Julie Bean's Beans.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That was great. That was so great. I kind of want coffee now. But
Well, and I'm thinking
like a
little
coffee
kids.
shop.
Oh, yeah, that would be, when you sell coffee, that's your business.
That's
Okay.
it. There we go.
Well, I drink enough of it. I should be selling it. So, so that's one place to start. Is somehow use your name, and if you can use your full name, that's a bad idea because then you're the designer. It is designed by you. So that's one of my tips.
I would say it's whatever your story is, because we're going to talk about that in a second, but if you have a story where it's all about travel or something really specific and you want to base it in that, like, and have someone understand the story of your brand that way, I mean, that really gets into the area of branding and social media and all that stuff. But if you're not quite sure where you're going to land, start with Julie Bean Designs. And, that way, if you just say Julie Bean Designs, that could encompass screen printing, jewelry making. Let's say she decides to knit hats one day, but it's all there. And it's just like, oh, this is my jewelry line. This is my knitting line, So if you really do find yourself struggling with trying to find a specific thing to do, that's what I would recommend. Yeah. But if you really are just selling jewelry and you have a very clear vision of what you want to accomplish with that, I'd say come up with a good name, but come up with a name that someone hasn't thought of before and make it easy to remember.
Right.
That's the thing, because if you're going to come up with a cool name, it's going to be on your business cards, your postcards, your stamps that you're going to do, all that stuff. So just kind of visualize how that's going to come across, and again, kind of getting into branding, think about the colors that you want to use. Like using like vintage postcards, you might use like, more Kraft boxes as opposed to the white boxes.
Absolutely.
So just kind of think through it all the way. You don't have to do all of it right in the beginning, but this wouldn't be a vintage seller bag, so like just think about what would sort of align with that.
And do what you love. So as we're talking about all of this, make the jewelry that you enjoy making, not the jewelry that you think is going to make you a fortune.
I honestly, I believe that if you don't understand the jewelry you're making, if you don't love it, that it won't actually be very good jewelry.
Exactly. Me too.
You know,
people can tell.
Because then you're chasing a profit because it's like, oh, gemstones are hot this month. Well,
and you won't have a real, maybe, I mean, there's a few people in the world who can design anything no matter what. But I used to find that if I tried to make jewelry because I thought people would like it and not because, and I didn't like it, nobody liked it.
Yeah, it didn't have that heart to it.
It didn't have a true design heart to it. It usually wasn't designed well because I didn't like it and I didn't care enough.
And you're starting this business, even if you're just doing it as a hobby to make a little extra money or as a full business, because you are probably wanting to really enjoy your career, enjoy your path, enjoy this. And if you're making jewelry that you don't enjoy making, what's kind of the point?
Yeah.
You want to be doing this with a passion. You want to be having fun, and whether it's the creation process or the selling or the talking to customers, you want to be really enjoying it. So make what you love, and then for your branding, brand it to you. Who are you? I am a vintage postcard girl. Yeah. That speaks to me. I like the brown Kraft boxes. I like, the vintagey, steampunky, all that stuff. And so that's what I do. And then the brand is actually pretty easy to create.
Yeah.
Right. It sort of creates itself when you start. Here's what I would suggest. Go on an application like Pinterest or just Instagram, search around, create a mood board for what you think you like. Just pin stuff that you like, and then you'll start to just take a look at it and go, oh yeah. Oh, I guess I do. I have a lot of wood elements in here, and it's very nature centric. Okay, like that's what I'm drawn to. Start there. Yeah. Let that come out of you, and go. Oh, maybe I should make more stuff with wood beads, or
and your packaging also.
Exactly.
Yeah. And as far as packaging goes, especially when you start out, you want to think about how can you get an effective packaging that isn't going to cost you tons of money, because you're not gonna want to go have 1,000 boxes manufactured to your design when you start. So what I always, and I'm more of a sort of naturally type look and or vintage. So I would take, a box like this, these Kraft boxes, I think they're fantastic, because if you want to get a kind of green natural look, you could tie it with some burlap twine. Yeah. And have a little brown Kraft label. It looks really cute. You could get a rubber stamp, and you could have your logo made on a rubber stamp, or it could just be a cute rubber stamp that you like of a bee or something. And you could stamp the boxes so that they're your boxes. And any box that you use, even if it's something with a complicated pattern like this, you can put a sticker on it.
Yeah, stickers, I have a big stamp with my logo, my name on it, and I just use that over and over. And but that's probably the best way to really get that branding, that personalization. And here's the other thing too: if you're not quite sure of your brand and you want to have it be your last initial, so I could stamp like a big S on mine. Okay, well,
that's
that
easy.
works.
And it's not custom.
And it's not custom.
You can find a lot of stamps with a big S.
Or you can buy a sheet of labels. You can easily buy them in white or Kraft, and you can buy them in colors. You can get a simple program, usually made by the label manufacturer, in your computer, and you can just have the words, maybe if you do have a website, the address of your website, your brand name, anything else you want to put on it, like a little slogan. And
that actually reminds me, so you're talking about putting a little slogan. So one thing that I like to do is, if I'm selling at a show and I want to show people, hey, you're going to get this nice little gift. So if you're buying for a gift, put it here.
Put what? Or your sticker?
Your sticker here. If you want to put your website, your social media, your contact information, care instructions, stick it on the inside. That way someone can still get the nice, cool box. Oh, wow, it's beautiful. And then, oh, look at that.
Yeah, do not go swimming with this sterling silver necklace.
Yes. but stick it on the inside, because that's a great tip about, like, you want to be able to kind of have all your stuff there so that they remember it, because they might lose a business card or something if you give it to them. I always always try to include a business card in like a little package that I'll give to someone, but if it's in the box, they're not losing the box.
Also, the person who purchases it might keep the business card, and then
give the
the
box.
recipient
Yep.
doesn't have any contact info.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you guys are clever.
But I do think we have another question.
We've been doing this a
too.
little while. All right, more questions. Keep them
Yeah,
coming,
so we
guys.
have a few more questions about selling online.
Sure.
Guila on YouTube asks if you should have a specific number of different styles of items on your website.
Oh,
great
okay.
question.
Very
Necklaces,
question.
bracelets.
Okay. So the question is, should you have a specific number of different styles of pieces, like earrings, bracelets? I don't think there's a hard and fast rule
No.
that you need to do. I mean, I think having a good selection is nice. So when people see your collection, it does look like a nice collection. But you can have all earrings. If you love making earrings and that's your specialty, you can have all earrings. You don't have to have other
Yeah.
types of pieces too.
Ooh, I just thought of a company name. I can't tell you.
That's not fair.
It's probably already, okay, I'm going to say it because I'm sure someone's already done. I'm saying this because I'm sure it's already been done. Because everything I think of, someone's already done. I would have earrings and I would call it all ears.
All ears.
I'm all ears. I'm just
I
saying.
like it.
But I know it's already out there. Any good idea usually
Well, I was like,
is.
well, if it's not, it is now. Okay, so let me address that question about like what I have a friend who does these incredibly intricate wire wrapped rings, but that is all she does, and that's what she specializes in. But what she has is, hey, if I know I need a wire wrapped ring, I'm going to her because I know what she is special at. So here, when we're trying to create our kits and whatnot, sometimes we'll try to do a gold and a silver. So like that's the only metal that we'll switch out, you know. So you could offer that as, you know, if you wanted to create more products, but it's still the same look. So that if you have someone who's like, oh, I'm more of a silver person, but too bad that's in gold. Oh, I have it in silver, you know. So you can kind of, in a way, double your designs that way, so that it appears that you have more. But again, if you really just love necklaces, or if you love peyote bead weaving bracelets, don't try to make it more complicated on yourself. So there's no hard and fast rule. I would just say stick to what you're comfortable at. Also, start with bracelets. Then launch a line of necklaces.
That's what
then
I was
launch a line of earrings.
That's what I was going to say. Start out with what you have. If you keep waiting to start until you've reached some kind of goalpost in your head, like you may never start. But what is the harm of setting up that, I'm not sure how much an Etsy store costs, but it's probably one of the least expensive ways and easiest non-technical ways you can go. There's nothing wrong with starting the store and putting up 6 things. Will anyone buy them right away? Well, maybe your friends will, but this is going to give you experience with the software, experience with the email, experience with uploading photos, and just looking at it and deciding if you like the way everything looks. And then you can add the jewelry as you make it. And I can tell you what we've learned here at Beadaholique, I think all of us here have learned, is that if your website is constantly changing a little, you're constantly adding new things, but not all new things, just people will check back. What else? What else do they have? Oh, this is, you know. And also, if you have something on your website, no one's bought it in a year, it's just good to take it out of circulation for a while because it can look old and tired.
Yeah. And like you said, just 6 things is fine. It gets you going. And that's also going to tell you maybe you don't like selling online. It's time to look at a show. But if you keep thinking, in a month or 2 months, I'm going to get something listed. Or 6 months from now, that's my goal, I'm going to get something listed. It doesn't get you that knowledge. It doesn't get you further ahead.
I think listing that first item might be the hardest listing you ever do. And once you do the first one, you'll be like, oh, okay.
That wasn't so bad. I can do it.
I can do it. Yeah.
And you can repeat.
Yep.
One thing that I found successful is to actually have launches for myself, you know, so I will launch a 2018 summer collection and I'll market it as such so that when someone's looking at my page, they go, ooh, that's the new stuff.
Yeah.
So they kind of have a sense that, oh, she's working, she's actually putting stuff out there every season, you know, so.
And you know, we're all shoppers.
Yeah.
Tell me you don't go to whichever store you like, whether it's, you know, Marshall's or whether it's the catalog of a very expensive store that you're never actually going to set foot in, and you're like, ooh, what's new? And we're curious and we want to see the fashions and what's out there.
Yeah.
And you know, we want we like to refresh our wardrobes. We get bored.
Well, and people do like to stay, you know, fashionable. So
Yeah.
I mean, you have to consider that as well. You're not just making jewelry. You're in the fashion world, you know. So treat it as such. I would, you know.
Also in the personal expression world.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking about it. You know, I go in the store and I look at jewelry that's quote unquote fashionable, and I'm like, I see it and I love it. But it's not really my jewelry. Like I'm wearing sort of silver jewelry that I either made or I collected on travels, and that's mostly what I wear, and it's sentimental to me. And at some point, I kind of don't care what other people think about it. It's you know, it's a souvenir and it's precious in its own way. So you don't have to be. We're talking about fashion. You don't have to be up to the kids' fashion or a particular kind of fashion. It could just be a way for people to refresh their outfits or to go to refresh their self-expression. You know, I feel pink today, or I want a very elegant decoration for my party outfit. It can be a lot of different things.
Well, and I was really successful selling at bridal shows, actually.
Wow.
So I you know, but I'll say this: how many ways can you make a white dress? But they come out with stuff every season. There's always new bridal dresses and bridesmaids dresses. It's all the same stuff. It has been for a while. It's all white, you know. But that's the perfect example of. But it's always new.
Right.
So even if you're just doing a newer version, or you know you made short earrings, now you're making long earrings, but it's the same gemstone or pearl or whatever it is. It is different, you know. So launch it as such.
Yeah.
But start with 6, 12, a couple of items, you know, and then few months later, a month later, whatever you're comfortable with, put more out there, and then people can go, oh, what's new?
Yep.
You know,
Exactly.
so that's exciting. All right, more questions?
A couple more. Letty asks if there are any liability concerns when you sell online.
Oh, okay. So that's a good question. Are there any liability concerns when you sell online? Depends on the platform, but that is why I also am very transparent about where I get my materials. I know sometimes there's issues with, is it sterling silver? Is it surgical steel? Is it lead-based? You know, all these different things that as long as you're very transparent to your customer, you shouldn't have any issues. I know that some of the platforms as a seller make you sign a waiver saying that you would incur any of that, so just please read the fine print. But let's say you're selling on your own website, create your own fine print. If there's an issue, have them contact you, let them, you know, kind of be your own customer service in that regard.
I mean, I would think, you know, that, and I am not a lawyer, but realistically speaking, as, you know, someone who sells things online, that usually the worst you can expect is you may have to fully refund someone and you may never get the jewelry back. I mean, you know, that's the worst case scenario. So
I wouldn't let it hold you back from selling online, but just do your due diligence with whatever language you want to create so that you're transparent enough. Like, you don't want to tell somebody it's sterling silver if it's plated. I mean, don't do that. That's bad form. You know,
I mean, we try to tell you guys what any of our items are made of. If we've somehow are not being clear or we've fallen short, you should always contact us, and we will contact our manufacturers. And I've always believed that as long as we're very honest about our materials, then the buyer can make the decision, do I want to pay this much for precious metal or would I rather get plated? And you should always let your buyers know what you're selling them. Some people have metal allergies. Some people want to know the endurance of, you know, plating doesn't last as long as, and they also want to know if they're giving a quality gift to someone.
Right.
Yeah, so one tip I have is if you are looking for language, you know, so many people have online stores, especially like Etsy sites. You can look at what other sellers have written in terms of like their return policy or their FAQs, and you can get a lot of information through that.
But don't copy them exactly.
Oh yeah, don't copy them exactly, but be like, oh, I'm looking at 10 different jewelry companies, and they all say they take returns within 10 days. Okay, that's maybe pretty standard practice. I'll do that. And I'll say my return policy is within 10 days. Oh, all of them are listing if their products are made in the USA. I'm going to list my products are made in the USA. I know
if they're made
if they're made in the USA. I like to write handmade in California. when I make my jewelry because I am hand making it in California.
Yeah.
And that's kind of nice. People like to know that.
And that doesn't mean the materials.
It doesn't mean the materials, but the actual finished piece I have assembled and put together in California. So
yeah, and I know there's a lot of people who sell true vintage online. Some people might ask for a certificate of authentication.
Authenticity.
Authenticity.
There it is. Be willing to provide that, or just say, like, I don't have that information, but these are from the 60s or whatever. So that's another area where you kind of just have to make a business decision on how you want to handle that type of situation. But again, it's just really personal.
And, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just thinking vintage. If it's not vintage, but it's a vintage look, make sure you say vintage inspired or vintage look.
Yes.
So that's just something to kind of protect yourself so you're not saying vintage earrings, blah, blah, blah. If they're not vintage, they just look vintage. Make sure you say vintage inspired.
Or if you're using vintage beads in your earrings that you made,
right.
You have to be clear about that also.
Yeah. So
like the vintage Rivolis and Julie's earrings,
which Kat made. And
thank you.
So I'm actually going against another
were...
one of our tips is like always wear your own jewelry because you're a walking billboard, and I'm wearing Kat's because they're so
wearing
pretty.
Beadaholique jewelry.
Am I wearing cat also?
Yes.
Oh,
It's cat day.
It's a cat day. And I just have to say, my son talks about you all the time because your name is Kat. Even this morning in the car, it was, oh, Kat, say hi to Kat.
Because he loves kitty
He loves cats. So I'm sorry, that's totally a side note, but it just made me think about that. This is a cat day.
You have to bring him to my house.
I do. He has named his fish Kitty. Because we told him he couldn't have a cat until he's older, so he named his fish Kitty. So that's how much my son loves cats. So yes, we will come and visit.
I love it. All right, more questions here.
Yeah, a couple of our YouTubers asked, when do you know it's time to get your own website after being on Etsy, Instagram, or Facebook?
So the question is, when do you know it's time to get your own website after you've been on these other selling platforms for a while?
I'm going to start by saying as soon as you can.
Oh, okay.
Only because it will then allow a landing page for your work that's not an Etsy page where people can then go, oh, let me see what else what else is on Etsy. Because I feel like you're drawing someone away.
Oh, I see.
It's like a central hub.
Yeah. If someone goes to look for your jewelry on Etsy, they might get sidetracked and end up in other people's shops on Etsy.
Because there's all kinds of sponsored links on Etsy, and they'll show you what you're looking at, maybe in a different style, and you go, oh, I like that better. Well, you've just lost a customer. So that's my personal take on it. Now, to be honest with you, there are so many platforms where you can create your own website for very inexpensive. There's, not promoting any particular brand, but there's Wix, there's Squarespace, there's WordPress, all kinds of different things for you to explore. The other thing, too, is that you can actually sell on Instagram. I know we'll talk about social media in here in a little bit, but there are actually applications where you can take a photo with your phone, put it on Instagram, and then someone can one-click buy it. So that's also something as well to consider, but I would really recommend having your own website as soon as you decide this is something that I really want to take seriously.
Reserve those domain names now.
I have way too many of them because every time I think of them, I'm like, I'm just going to buy that.
Oh, I have like 6 or 7, yeah. Absolutely. But that's my personal preference, and that's why I say that. But do you guys have any other suggestions?
I think it's a really good recommendation. I would say you don't have to have that website, though, to get started.
No, absolutely not.
Don't let that scare you because it can be a little bit intimidating.
I'm going to share a little fact why I would agree with that and say I personally don't see any reason why you wouldn't want to start on Etsy. You may make a lot of discoveries about you and internet commerce that tell you which way you want to go from there.
Right.
And I can tell you, for those of you who don't know that, when Beadaholique started, I was, working out of my bedroom with a shoebox of beads, and I was selling them on eBay. This was a long time ago when people were interested to read. I found some cool check beads, and actually, okay, the first beads I ever sold, they looked like little lemons. I think we still sell them. This was literally the first beads I ever sold. And I just thought they were the cutest thing ever, and that my enthusiasm bubbled over, and people bought them. But the thing is that if I had said, oh, you know, I don't want to sell beads anymore, that was it. I could just stop on eBay. And eBay actually kept us going for a long time. And we were so ignorant about the internet, I'm ashamed to tell you. And it was a while ago, and it was much harder for people to get their own websites going. And so we were able to get a website when we were ready.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to hurry and learn too much technical stuff before we felt a real need to.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is I'm coming from a place of you've been selling on Etsy for a little bit, you've gotten a little headway, or you haven't, you know, try a website. Many will offer a free trial, you know. You can also try it for a year, and if after a year it's still not hitting, okay, well, you know, website, you can take it down. You don't have to pay for it anymore. But yeah, start with Etsy so you can kind of see the market, but I would then, as soon as you're comfortable, I would move to a platform that is your own. I think that will just help grow your business that much faster, in my experience.
And I have a little personal tip that I've just recently come to discover about myself, and it's making my life a lot easier.
Please share.
Oh, what is it?
Well, it's okay to not do everything yourself.
What?
Yes. So it's like you want to start this business, okay, and you're like, okay, I need business cards. I'm going to hand make my jewelry. I'm going to make a display. I'm going to, you know, get a booth set up. I need a website, Etsy, photography, and it's a lot, and it can be really overwhelming. It's okay to say, you know what? I have this friend, and for $200, they're going to make me that website. That is $200 really well spent.
Yeah,
and
that's a
versus
good
you
investment.
having to learn all the code and all the everything.
Think how many hours. I mean, what is your time worth?
Exactly.
I mean, you know how much free time you have. And if you sit there and go, I don't have 50 hours
Yes.
to spend on this because I have a full-time job or
Exactly.
I have a lot of childcare. And at some point you have to go, do I want to spend, you know, 50 or maybe 100 hours or do I want to pay someone $200 and they'll probably do it in like 5 hours.
Exactly.
And if they're, you know, if you've vetted their work, let's be honest, they'll probably do it better than me.
Yep. And you're not going to be frustrated, and it's not going to be hanging over your head. So I've just really, it's only been like the last year, because I want to do everything myself, and I want to save money. I don't want to spend money, but boy, there's some simple things out there. It's like, or you can trade. It's like, maybe you've got a friend who's a graphic designer who can make you like a logo and a business card, and you can trade them a necklace for their work.
Or three, you know.
Or three, or whatever it might be. That works too. So I think it's very much okay to say, okay, this is what I can do. This is what my skill level is. This is what's a little bit beyond me, or this is what I just don't have time for, and then trade for it, or just be like, it can be very reasonable. And like you said, is $200 worth 50 hours?
Yeah, is it, you know, if you have 50 hours, then great.
Yeah.
But, you know, well, you know, some people might
extra 50 hours.
Well, people might be retired, or they.
Oh, sure,
you know, or they might be willing to say, sure, I'm going to take a couple months.
And they want to learn that skill, maybe.
And but maybe you're like, I don't even want to know how to do a website. I just want to sell my jewelry.
Yeah.
And in which case, someone can get on WordPress or some other platform that's already halfway set up anyway, and you'll find someone who knows how to just manipulate the platform and
do it really quickly.
And create a little
Yeah,
shop
because
for
you can have someone create a website for you and then say, hey, can you take a couple hours and teach me how to update it now? So like getting all the stuff together, and then you just got to update your your policies and whatnot.
And I think the world has changed a lot. I know when I started, having someone build a website, like what's a minimum, like $3,000-$4,000.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we're talking a while ago, but this is when there wasn't like the WordPress, or there wasn't a lot of people who did it. But now I feel like you can find someone who will do, like you said, like a WordPress or something for pretty inexpensive, and it'll still look really nice.
Oh, it'll look great. Honestly, some of the websites, I have friends, and I was like, who did your website? And she's like, I got it done on this. It was a template that I just put my colors in and my fonts that I liked.
Templates,
and I was like, that's genius. Like, and she's like, I did it this weekend. I was like, you know, what have I been doing? You know, so, but yeah, I mean, it can be
when
that
I was
simple.
a kid, we had to crawl to school and type with our left foot. you know. That's what I'm always like, you guys don't know how easy it is.
I know, technology. Easy and hard at the same time.
Does anybody here remember typewriters?
I still have one.
Okay, that's just unnecessary.
Well,
but-
it is like from the 40s.
Oh,
it's like
so it's
cute and vintage.
It's decoration.
Yes, but it works.
Decor.
Okay. It's a candle holder.
My old Singer sewing machine is now a cocktail table. So yes.
Oh,
the
there you
base.
go.
Oh, I have one. It's a desk. Yeah. All right.
All right. Do we have some more questions?
Yeah, so this one actually concerns designs
Sure.
and copyright infringement. Basically, if you take another artist's design but change the color of the beads and maybe some of the findings.
No.
Okay.
is that copyright
Yeah.
All right, so let's repeat the question so people can hear it. Copyright infringement, taking another person's design, but maybe changing the colors or changing the beads a little bit. And is that like copyright infringement? I'd say don't go there.
Don't do
Yeah,
it.
if you're especially if you're taking a design, you're just changing the color. It's still their design.
It's absolutely, and I think,
yeah.
you know, we can quote the law at you and say don't do it because of the law, but I know that I've seen online people being just excoriated. Is that a word? Excoriated.
Sure.
By the online community, and their names getting and their pictures and their shop names getting passed around people's Facebook communities and all kind of communities, and people are getting kind of blacklisted, and then they get harassed and all kinds of things. People say, I know where you got your design. And it's beyond, you know, how much can someone actually sue you for if you're a small producer, you're not a big company? Not much, but you could get your name ruined and your shop name ruined, and you could get kicked off of an Etsy or another platform. People could get you kicked off. So it's not worth it.
Yeah, I've seen that happen before where people will, you know, leave Etsy because they've been asked to. And that's really not what you want.
And that's because people have made claims.
Yeah. But here's the thing, like there are certain techniques. Like if you're doing a right angle weave, okay, you can do right angle weave in a million different ways. Don't steal from someone else, you know, like don't just, it's bad juju to do that. But yeah, I mean, you don't want to be called out. If you are called out, and here's the thing, sometimes you might be called out because you had a great idea to do something and you didn't know that it existed. Well, they might send you like a cease and desist, or that's the legal way that they'll say, or be like, hey, that's my design. Take it down. Just don't make a thing out of it. Just say, I'm so sorry. Take it down. Give it to a friend, because you can still wear it and have it and own it, but just don't sell it. That's where
there you go.
That's where that gray area becomes a little bit of a line. So yeah.
Well, what would you say to people who maybe they made this kit and they have the little where'd the bracelet go? It's
Over
gone.
here. It's over
Okay,
here.
yeah. I think we get people asking us, what if I make a project from the website? What if I make a kit? Can I sell that jewelry? What if I follow your project exactly? Can I put that bracelet up on my Etsy store? And what we usually say is, no, these are made for you to wear and enjoy and gift, but these are not made for you to make money off of.
By putting your name as
By
like
putting
the
your
designer.
name as the designer. I mean, and honestly, you know, I love Beadaholique, but do you want to be at your booth or in your website and say, here's a necklace designed by Beadaholique, and not me. I wouldn't want to say that. I'd want to say it's me.
Right.
You know.
Well, and like we have some other kits here as well, and these are odd count peyote kits, and we have people who will buy the kit, learn the technique, and go, "Ooh, great! I want to make my own patterns now."
Exactly.
And that's great. That's why we do that, so that you can kind of get your feet wet.
Yeah, these are great. I'm this way. I've been studying some other sort of thing online about making your own lotions at home, and I find myself just saying, "Oh, just give me a simple recipe. I just need the feel of doing it. It's too complicated for me to figure out my own recipe as well."
Yeah.
And so this is like a recipe. You do a couple of these, and then you go, "Oh, I see," and then you tweak it and you change it up to be your own.
Yeah.
It's just a get you started or give you some designer jewelry and some pleasure of making it.
Yeah.
So I think we've talked a lot about online sales.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we also have time to talk a little bit about shows before, because I know this class we were kind of thinking might run a little bit long. And the questions are great. Keep them coming. But I do want to talk a little bit about shows, because I know I personally like shows better than online for sales.
Why is that? Yeah.
I like it. Okay. For me personally, I actually find it to be less of a time commitment. I'm a mom.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think so.
You wouldn't think so, but if you sign up for a show, you have the same amount of time to make all your stuff as if you were selling online, because, I mean, the production of the jewelry takes the same amount of time.
Yeah.
But it's one day and it's done. You go, you have the time to sign up for it, which is like 20 minutes to sign up online for a show. But then, you go in the morning, you set up your booth, you sell all day, you get some great customer feedback, you get to interact with people. I love talking to customers one-on-one. I can make much more personally, I found, in person, just dollar-wise, at a show versus online. It would take me months and months and months and months and months to make the same amount online as I do in like an 8-hour period at a show. I tear it down. I'm done. I go home. I don't have to update listings. I don't have to take photographs. I don't have to ship. I don't have to answer email questions about it. If someone has a question, they're right there. They're talking to me. We get that resolved right away. So I love doing shows, and I think I would say my biggest tip with doing shows, if you're thinking about doing them, is look at all the different types of shows out there. There's flea markets, bridal shows, kids shows, art fairs, craft fairs, church bazaars, gift, wholesale, retail. Find the show that's a good fit for you, your jewelry, and your price point.
Yeah.
Because
I
have done shows where I've sold nothing because it wasn't the right
I think we've
fit.
all done shows where we sold
Yes.
nothing.
Oh, yes. Or you sell 3 things that you gave at a discount at the last minute.
Exactly. Because it probably wasn't actually anything to do with your jewelry or you. It was just that the show was not the right fit.
Yeah, so don't get discouraged if you have your first show and you don't sell anything. That might not be you, There's a lot of factors that go into that.
I'll give a good example. I did a flea market, and all of my jewelry was bead woven and bead embroidered, and it was all, probably the lowest price was like $30, and it went up to $150. And that's what people were looking for.
Yeah.
And I now know to have all different price points at a show. But just one quick thing. The very next weekend, I did another show that was a juried art fair, and I did great.
Wow.
Same stock, same display, same everything. One show 0, one show really great. And nothing changed other than the customer walking by and what they mentally expected from that show.
That's an amazing example.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't really top that, but I was just going to expand on most of my selling was at a flea market, actually one of the biggest flea markets, well, the biggest one in Southern California. It's at the Rose Bowl. You've probably all heard of it. It is large.
It's huge.
And it is a flea market. And it's known for having a whole antique section, and that's usually what people go for. But they do have the whole section with new stuff and handmade stuff. And, my point was nobody gets up in the morning and says, I'm going to go to a flea market today and I'm going to spend $150 on a handcrafted necklace. I mean, my whole thing was I would go to flea markets and say, I have a $20 bill. What can I get out of a $20 bill? And, besides some popcorn, this is going to be fun, right?
Yeah.
And you don't actually think you're actually going to acquire anything.
You're not in that mindset.
It's just a fun day out.
Yep.
So I made similar discoveries to Julie, although my stuff wasn't at prices high at the swap meet, that I needed to catch people's attention because they're literally, 500 or more vendors.
Yeah.
So I ended up creating some $5 earrings.
Which is so smart.
Which is
that was
very, I mean, you literally hang a charm on an earring hook or a stone on a head pin and with a bead cap, and you try to get a lot of variety so that people want to look at everything. And I got giant picture frames, and I put the sign up at the top, $5 earrings. And the picture frames were really pretty, and I just put a velvet board in the middle and all these earrings. And I would watch people they'd be hustling that I have to get to the antiques, and they'd turn their head, they see that $5 sign, they'd be, what? And they'd be, oh honey, I'll just be a minute. And they'd come over, and then I'd have another one that said $10 earrings, and then they'd look at everything on the table in between it. Well, I'm here, I have to look.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the other thing too. Visually, you have to get that person walking by, and we were going to talk about pricing here in a second. But having that like $5 earrings or only $5 or whatever, or if you want to have like a $10 and like a price slash through it and says 8 or whatever, just something to like catch someone's attention to get them over to you, and then having different things at different price levels go,
Absolutely.
oh, I can still enjoy that design that's just a tiny little earring, but wow, look at that beautiful necklace. Maybe I'll come back and afford that, or maybe I'll take a card and think about that or something.
Card.
But having your prices visible,
Very important.
so important.
Probably the biggest tip I think we can give is
And
if
that-
you're at a show.
I had little price tags. I don't
We
know if
had
you
little
the
price
ones,
tags.
Yes, those. I had those. They have the little string. You do a little loop around the necklace. You write on the price tag. And sometimes I would have a little code on the back because people will bargain with you at swap meets. And I would have a little, if I felt like I needed a code to remind me what my lowest price or what my cost was, because when you're in the moment, I mean, I get the sort of, deer in headlights, like, oh, you want a discount? Oh, and I don't remember how much all of this labor and every single bead cost me. So you might want to have a way of reminding yourself so that when people are bargaining that you don't lose money or you don't shortchange yourself on your pricing.
Well, and that actually brings up an interesting thing that I didn't think about until just now is keeping track of your inventory. Now, not only from, theft, it happens at shows. Some, we really try to not, but sometimes you might turn your back and someone might.
That's why you put the cheap things on the, Julie and I were talking about this. You have a table this big. I had a thing, it was like 2 or 3 of these, it was 20 feet.
Wow.
And most of the time it was only me. I could not keep an eye. I couldn't.
You just can't.
So my $5 earrings and my $10 earrings were at the far ends of the table because that's what people are, they're on the fringes.
Yeah.
And they're trying to just grab stuff. I'm like, okay, knock yourself out. Have a $5 pair of earrings. And all my really expensive stuff was in the middle in front of me. And
where you could
there was no way.
Keep
it
track of
it wasn't going anywhere.
Yep, which is so smart. Yeah, keep that stuff. Or if it's really, really tiny, I would have it towards the center.
Okay.
If it would be something that could be easily, grabbed.
But all that to say, one mistake that I made for one of my first couple of shows is I did not take photos of my booth all set up where everything was. And I also held back merchandise because I had made duplicates for things. So I would have one out there at a time so that I could put another one out there. But at the end of the day, you're packing everything in. You're
tired.
You're exhausted.
You are so tired. And you're hungry probably.
I'm starving. One thing that I did was, okay, so you want to purchase this? And I'd take it, and I'd package it up, sort of out of sight for them. But I would quickly take my phone and go, snap, and then just put my phone away.
That's
So
a
I
good
then
one.
had an inventory list in my phone of everything that I sold that day.
Oh, that's a
'Cause
good
then
idea.
You also have a nice visualizer of, people really like the purple things that I put out.
Oh, that would be true. If you
you
have
could see,
20
like, a
photos
scroll.
and you go,
Yep.
that's a lot of purple.
Yeah, or wow, it's all silver stuff. Maybe
or
I
it's
need some more
all
silver
neck,
stuff
it's
for
all
the next one.
bracelets.
Exactly. So, and that way you don't have to stop your motion of what you're doing that day.
That is
Because if you get
excellent.
busy, you just snap, and you're good.
Yep,
That's
very
it.
smart.
That's my favorite tip of the day.
From me to you.
Well, and this is another tip, and it can't beat that one. That one's way better. When you do a show and you have your table all set up, take some pictures of your booth, because oftentimes when you apply for other shows, they'll ask for photos of your booth set up. So first thing in the morning, it's all beautiful. It's not picked over. It's not mixed up, because people are going to go like this. They're
They'll
gonna
pick it up and put it down somewhere else.
Oh boy, do they.
So take some pictures of it all nice, and then if you're prepping to do a show, what I actually always do before a show is I set up my booth at home. Because a lot of times at a show,
This lady is dedicated, people.
no, it's more like it calms my anxiety.
Really?
It does. So like the night before, 2 nights before, because usually you have to provide your own tables.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got my tables at home anyways. I've got all my table coverings. I've got all my displays. I actually set up in my backyard my booth. I don't necessarily put all the jewelry up because that takes too long, but I pop open the tables. I put the cloth on. I actually put my tables on risers. You can get these little bed risers. That heightens it. So like, especially if it's jewelry, people aren't bending down so low. But I set up how I'm going to want it. I take pictures of it so that when I get to that show at 7 a.m., I just look at my phone to see how I set up my booth, and I'm good to go. And I know I've got everything because after I've prepped it at home, it goes right into my packing box, and I know I've got it. And then I keep separate tubs at home that are just for shows.
Yeah, I keep all that stuff separate as well, and everything's in their own little plastic bags with their little anti-tarnish. Like, everything is nicely packaged, so that, because here's the other thing, because when you take it all down at the show and you bring it home, take it all out, repackage it, clean stuff. If it got dusty or dirty, do it right then.
Well,
the next
usually
day.
do it the next day.
The next day. But what I'm saying is, like, that way then you'll have everything ready to go for next time, because there's nothing worse than, like, oh, hey, there's an open spot at the booth this weekend. Hey, why don't you come? Oh, God, now I got to find all my stuff and where's all my things, and you don't do that.
And that'll help you identify if you're low on business cards or you're low on packing.
Yeah, you do need to check that. I mean, it's so embarrassing. Oh, I don't have any business cards,
Check it now, right after the fact, so you can order it so that you're ready for next time. Don't wait until you book that next show. Like, if you know that you're going to do another show, don't wait.
I would venture to say that as far as, and I think maybe we should talk about branding when you're talking about a physical display. For a beginner, business cards might be the most inexpensive yet useful way to start with your branding.
Yeah.
And we can go into a couple reasons why. I'm looking at those little gadgets.
I was gonna say,
we're going to talk about those gadgets.
And then next, if you're having gift boxes, stickers are also another thing that don't have to be very expensive. If you've got a computer and a printer, you can get some stickers, and you can.
Speaking of stickers, so what I did is I actually got really clear address labels, and I stuck them to the bottom piece of the little plastic here, so that when I set all that up and when somebody had it, it just said it had my little name there and my logo. And also, you have real estate here, guys, too,
Are those stickers that there's like 90 on a sheet? Those little teenies?
I got, they were like little teeny, I got them from like Staples, return address labels that were clear. So, they fit right on there, but then it just had my little brand on there. And then on the back, I was able to write sterling silver. Done.
Yeah, I mean.
But then it's there. So when someone's picking it up, because you also have to understand, you might get a chance to talk to somebody one-on-one, but if you're talking to somebody one-on-one and someone else is shopping and they're not going to get a chance to go or find the break in the conversation that you're having here to ask if it's sterling silver, but if they can turn it over and look at it and it's very clear and the price is very clear, they can make a decision even without you engaging them in case you get busy, because, that's the hope, that you want to be busy, but you can't always answer all those little questions, but if it's really out there, it's very clear for everyone.
That's smart.
So.
Yeah.
And I think we do have actually a couple more questions.
Yeah.
I do have a couple. Angie was asking, for designers who make different styles of jewelry, should they focus on one style for their show and direct people to their site for other styles?
Oh, that's actually a really excellent question. So the question is, if you're a designer who makes all different kinds of styles of jewelry, if you're going to do a show, should you focus on one style over the other and then send people to your website to shop more styles? I don't know. I would kind of.
I'd bring it all.
I would bring a fair representation of all of it. If there's something that's slightly more seasonal, like if you do Christmas jewelry and it's, February, people might not be shopping for that anymore. But, you can bring like a couple wintry pieces and say, oh, I actually do have Christmas designs on my website as well that are great for Christmas time. And
she's saying all styles. I mean, my imagination kind of went crazy. Like, oh, do you have chainmail pieces for Renaissance Fair next to, fine gold necklace? I was like, what's the most disparate things I can imagine?
Yeah.
And, if it's something really removed like that, you would want to consider the show you're going to, because you don't want and when you arrange your display table, you don't want it to be jumbled. If you have some very distinctively different pieces, like I've just imagined, you would want to have maybe clear areas. This is the steampunk chainmail jewelry, and over here is the traditional delicate crystal gold jewelry. And if you mix them all up, it's not going to catch the eye, and it's going to be hard for people to understand what they're seeing.
It'll look a little mishmash,
Yeah, a mishmash.
One way you could do that is we have different color busts. So if you see, we've got like black, we've got white, we've got linen, same with the trays. So if you were going to do that, you want to bring all the styles, the chainmail could all be on black trays, black busts in one corner.
Nice.
The gold could all be on the linen. and then the kumihimo could all be on the white. So you could almost like color block your display.
So that the
So
boundaries
visually,
are, if you really feel a need, I mean, to me, there's no reason you can't mix kumihimo with other styles. I was just trying to think of an extreme that people, it would just look too mixed to look at.
Yeah, and that goes back to think about the show. I mean, if you're doing a Ren Fair show, but you also like to do, different, like
knitting.
Knitting. Don't bring your knitting to the Ren Fair show, but bring it to the
gift show.
Outdoor gift show. Yeah, whatever you got going on. So kind of cater it to that, but this goes back to, I always like to have a leave behind with people because not everybody is there to shop. Not everybody might have gotten paid that Friday, so they might not have the money right then, but they're still very interested in your stuff. I would recommend having a nice postcard, a nice 4x6 kind of a card with all your information on it, some beautiful photos, and that's where you can represent what you do as a designer. And honestly, if you have more than like 4 or 5 or 6 different things that you do as a designer, I would caution you to edit yourself. Just because if you try to do too much, you won't do anything well.
Oh, yes.
Just try to start with one, and that goes again back to my idea of collections. You want to do a bead woven collection? Do a bead woven collection, but do it on purpose. Don't just have one peyote bracelet and then the rest of the stuff is gemstones, and then have one crystal necklace. It just, people won't have a sense of who you are and your story.
And they may even be like, oh, did you make that? Or people will get confused. I mean, I've literally, my mother, I give jewelry to my mother, and I make jewelry for my mother who doesn't. But she's told me when I give her things that are made by my friends, she wants the story. She's literally told me the story is as exciting to her as the jewelry. Yeah. And if I say, this is my friend, she's from this place, she learned this craft in this way, she got these beads from this source, or she made them herself, and she loves it. People. They don't. The last thing they want to hear is your jewelry was made in a factory. They don't want to hear that.
And if you're giving the gift, make it very easy for someone who's buying a gift for someone else, for them to tell your story to them. She made these with this, or she got these gemstones from her travels in wherever, So
or she's raising money for it. It can even be raising money for a charity.
Exactly.
Or a cause. And that's the story. It's a symbol of why the jewelry was, and why you're wearing it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that can go right down like Team Spirit jewelry, or it can go to animal rescue jewelry, or
and it is a selling point.
It is a selling point,
helps sell.
and you will raise money.
Yeah, I was gonna say people like to support causes, or if it's a certain month and there's a certain awareness month or something, capitalize on that in terms of, hey, I love to promote this. This is part of who I am,
Right. It's part of your story.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm into conservation, and these are all. This is all made of bamboo, and the 5% of the money's going to this charity. And
exactly.
Yeah.
And people love that,
People
and just stay true to who you are.
People, I think these days people kind of almost need that story. If they're going to invest, they're not buying a factory piece for a couple dollars that's made of really cheap material. They're investing a little more of their time and their money, and it's got to the point where I feel like we're all walking bulletin boards. Like everybody asks you, what does that mean? What are you wearing? Who are you wearing? They want to feel proud of what they're wearing and have a story of why it's special, and it's not just a mass-produced thing. Or they wouldn't be at a craft fair or a gift fair in the first place.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and that actually kind of reminds me. I've been on holiday, and I was in Valencia.
We're all jealous.
I know, sorry.
Jenny!
There was a really good sale on airfare. So I was at this shop in Valencia, and it had
Valencia, Spain?
Valencia, Spain.
Wow.
This cute little cobblestone street, and it was a clothing store, but there was a jewelry artist who was hand making jewelry.
Right there?
Right there at the store.
Oh, cool.
And it was a gentleman, and he made a really simple little leather necklace with a peace symbol on it, and he gave it to everybody who walked in.
Oh, my
as a
goodness.
gift.
Wow.
And he said, here, I made you a necklace, and it means peace. And I ended up buying clothing there because I now have a story of this artisan.
Yeah.
And it was super fast. It was just a quick little knotted necklace with a little heart, a little peace symbol charm.
You're going to remember that guy for a long time.
I'm going to remember him for a long time because he was doing, now I've got a story, and it was just like, really fun thing. And I ended up buying clothing from him, not jewelry, but it was,
I'll just say on that theme of free gifts, I'm not telling you everyone that you should all give out free gifts, but I've noticed sometimes people will have children with them, or young girl. I'm not talking about a 3-year-old. You don't want to give small objects to very young children. But say they've got a 12-year-old with them, and the 12-year-old is admiring one of your $5 earrings. You get a lot of brownie points or if like giving it to them, or a little kid walks up, their parent's standing, 15 feet away, and they've obviously given the child $2 to buy something, and you just, I think that will, yes, would you like, and you just like, everybody loves you.
Absolutely.
And, if it costs you $1 to make those earrings, and
it makes you feel good.
Yeah, it makes me feel good.
It makes you feel really good.
I mean, how many times have you had that young person who's,
Yeah,
their
that
parents
comes
have
up.
given them the spending money because they've told their mom they like that necklace.
Well, and then they'll be like, ask the lady.
Yeah, and that's
So
that's
sweet.
when you whip out the gift bag and get, ask them their name, all that kind of stuff. Parents love it. Kids love it.
They do.
Maybe they'll become a crafter.
Yeah.
Maybe inspire someone.
And I do know we have more questions. I want to just quickly review our giveaway because I know we haven't talked about that in a really long time.
Because we've been talking about everything else.
Yes, and then we'll definitely get to the questions.
All right, so if you guys are just joining us for the first time live, or if you're just joining us halfway through here, no, it's okay. We have a giveaway. Now, this is over $50 value, and what we're giving you is this beautiful bracelet linen bust here. We're actually going to give you the tray with the pad inside to kind of kickstart any little display that you might. Also, this is actually great, even if you're just going to have it at home. Look at how beautiful you can just
put on your dresser.
feel like you live in a little boutique.
That would look great on your dresser.
And we're giving you this beautiful kit here, which is in the box, but I wanted to break it out for you here. This is our Boho Gemstone Memory Wire Bracelet Kit. And actually, I'll showcase, I'll take a second off of our giveaway to showcase these brand new things that we have here today. So these are the other styles that we have. We have 6 different colorways. And Julie's going to pick up some beautiful turquoise there. And these are memory wire. And what's great is these make great gifts because there's no size to them. So they just kind of keep wrapping around the wrist, and they kind of coil and uncoil for you. So they make wonderful gifts.
And they all have these really nice charms. So I think all the charms are different.
All the charms are different, yeah.
And this is a great beginner project too. If you're just starting with jewelry, memory wire is really great. It's super fun too.
I think it's a gorgeous summer jewelry too. You put it on your sundress and you throw that on real quick, and it's going to be great.
All right, so to enter the giveaway, just leave a comment or a question.
Yeah, so we have some toolkits, some great stuff that'll help you, some anti-tarnish bags, some gift bags, all kinds of fun stuff. So this whole thing could be yours.
By the end of the broadcast, so you have to comment when we're live. And then we do announce at the end of the live broadcast. But I do know we have more questions, so we'll get to another question.
All right, so this one's about brand names. We had a couple viewers ask if you should register your brand name as a business, and what to do if somebody else has the same name you do.
Okay, so brand names, should you register it as a business, and what to do if someone else has the same name as you? If someone has the same name as you and they've already registered it, it's theirs.
Yeah.
There's really nothing you can do about it. I mean,
Even if it's your name.
even if it's your name,
Even if another Julie Bean,
which there are other Julie Beans.
I think we all
You
know.
gotta get creative.
Yeah.
So you can alter it slightly. So I would say if say you wanted to be Julie Bean Designs and that was already taken, you can change it and say Julie Bean Jewelry Designs. You can add something to it.
Yeah.
You can. I hesitate to, because you want to set yourself apart.
Yeah.
You don't want people to get confused.
You don't want them to get confused. It's a little tricky if they have your own name.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's already taken, it's already taken. And then if you are making a business out of this, you'll want to register. You'll want to check with your state, though. Every state has different policies and also just different thresholds of when you need to declare yourself a business and when it's a hobby. So I would check with your local state and your local government. And I know also if you're selling like on Etsy, it's a little different. Like when you go and do an art fair, oftentimes they'll ask for like a temporary seller's permit.
Or a permanent. So
or a permanent.
it's all coming back to me now.
You know, it kind of depends on how much you're going to do, how big are you committing. Again, start slow. you can get oftentimes a temporary seller's permit for an art fair before you actually fully commit to getting the full business license stuff.
And some local spots might not even have that. Like if it's kind of like a neighborhood thing, they just no, come with your table and your jewelry, you know. But yeah, if it's a bigger fair, you're probably going to have that. I have seen people walk around and check that all the vendors have their paperwork with them. That's another thing too that a lot of people kind of forget. Don't forget, if it's required by the fair, bring it with you.
Wrapped in plastic.
Yeah. I was going to say, I have mine in a big Ziploc plastic baggie so that in case it's rainy or someone spills coffee or whatever, but that is sort of, it's kind of like, you know, excuse me, when you go to the salon, they have to have their plaque up there saying that they've been certified, you know. It's kind of like that. They have to display it. You don't have to display yours necessarily, but definitely have it ready to show someone there.
Yeah. And if you're, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but in terms of registering for your business name, if you think this is something that you want to do, I wouldn't wait too long because someone else might come in with the other name. Also, that's the best way before you've taken all the time to do all your branding, to get the business cards, to find out if someone else already has that name.
Don't spend that money until you know.
Yeah, so at least do the research to find out if someone else has the name, and then if it's an open trademark, if you want to trademark your name, you can. You can do it that way, and there's just a whole bunch of ways to do that. But it's generally state government, less federal, but
You know,
check. So if you're,
The first way I check is I go online, and first I Google the name.
Yeah.
And then I also try entering the name as a website address.
As a .com. Yeah.
And just see that you will find out a lot right away. You don't need to go through any government, you know, searches. You to find out a great many things.
And search social media, put it into Facebook or Instagram or Twitter and see what's there, because you might need to alter your name a little bit, but you can still brand it in that way. But
and I would say in terms of if you are creating a business, if you're starting out slowly, which we are recommending, do like a smaller business when you are trying to apply for a business permit. There's different business permits, like you could become an LLC, you could become a corporation, you become a sole proprietor. And you can find that all out, by, you know, based upon what your state's regulations are. If it is truly a smaller business to start and you're not thinking, okay, I'm going to instantly go into wholesale gift shows and I'm going to be selling to boutiques and I want to do $100,000 every year.
Well, we all want to.
Slower. Because I've had several different types of business entities, and the larger that your business entity, the more paperwork, the more fees.
Right.
So I would say start slower and smaller. And then you can always change it later. There's also companies out there who will help you set up your business if you don't want to have to research how to do all of this with your government and with the state government.
Are there small business associations?
Yeah, there's small business associations. There's help out there for you.
Yes.
And also, if there is someone in your tight-knit local market that is doing what you want to do, people are generally very open with their information. Call them, ask them. Just be like, hey, I'm thinking about getting started doing something similar to what you do. Maybe don't contact a jewelry designer.
Yeah,
but like someone
a t-shirt maker.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a t-shirt maker or something. Just be like, hey, so what was your process there? You know, who do I call? You know, just ask them. They might say no, go away, or they might say, yeah, here's because people want to help people. You know, small businesses. We're a good community. We want to help people. So they might be like, hey, here's the number of the guy that I called. He did all my paperwork for me.
Yeah, or just go on these websites. Like
exactly.
Head to the .gov website, you know, for your area.
Yeah.
And that's another thing with starting out slow, starting to do a show. What you're going to do is when you start to do shows, first off, if you're at all confused with what's needed to do a show, contact the show promoter. They'll be very clear. They'll say, oh, we have a blanket license that covers everybody. You don't have to have your own. Or, oh, you need a temporary permit. Or, oh, you know what, this is just a local thing. You don't need one. Start with there. But once you start doing the shows, you're going to make your own little network of show friends, and they're going to help you throughout things. Like, I know we do the same shows every year. And we get like a text message from our friends saying, hey, time to buy parking permits. The parking permit link is open for whatever show we're doing. Or, hey, table fees are due. And we kind of all help each other. And you're going to start to build that community, which helps a lot.
I actually belong to a couple of Facebook groups that do that because it's amazing. Like, you know, we all want to do the same shows, and also that's a great way to be like, hey guys, I want to do the show, but I can only pay for half the booth. Who wants the other half? You know, and then it's like me, you know. So it's like that kind of thing too. So really rely on your tight-knit community in your area that you want to get started with. And yeah, when you're at the show, try to bring a friend. to watch your booth for a minute and go and meet the other people.
Oh,
go
yeah.
get business cards, contact them later. You kind of have to network even with the people who are there.
Make friends with the people at the show. Now,
Yeah.
I have experience, like if you're selling jewelry and there's someone else selling jewelry, they may not even want to speak to you.
Well, that's fine too.
But you can, it doesn't matter. I used to work next to a very nice woman who sold shower heads, okay, like low flow shower heads, because Southern California. But I still have that shower head, and she was a lovely woman, and very important, bathroom breaks. Who's going to watch her?
Yeah.
She watched my booth, and I watched hers.
Yeah.
And
Always say hello first off. Once you're setting up and your neighbors get there, say, hi, my name is, I do this, or something. Always greet them, get to know them, get to know their name.
Yeah.
Remember their name, so an hour later you're not like, who are you?
Yeah.
I am bad at that.
Or just be I'm so sorry. Just with all the setup and craziness, I know you told me your name. What was your name again?
I do that all the time.
All the time. And you know what? It's true. It's crazy. When you get there, there's people flagging you to go here and bring your booth here and your stuff.
And your car might be in a
nuts.
different place than your booth. And
Yeah, your car's here, and
And
the
you have
booth
to-
is 2 miles that way,
and you gotta have a dolly. I think Julie and I were talking about it.
Yeah,
like
gotta
if-
have a dolly.
If you know for a fact that I had a situation at the Rose Bowl where my vehicle, I was able to park it directly behind my booth within 20 feet. This hardly ever happens.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's magical.
Yeah, and I still had a dolly to get things from the car to the booth because I had tables, I had a canopy, and I did it for a couple of years, like by myself. And eventually I got a nice woman to help me a bit, but it was still, you know, you don't want to throw your back out. And there were people who would be parked like a mile away, and they would be.
They'd have to lug it all.
Yep.
Yeah. So you need to know ahead of time if you're going to need a little help with dollies, or as Julie was saying, wheeled suitcases.
I always use wheeled suitcases.
Another amazing tip.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I have like my big, like what would be like a big checked bag. And, you know, it's got that nice handle, it's on wheels, and then I'll even strap like 3 of them together and make like a little train.
Oh, I have a little visual now.
Yes, and I just, you know, that works great too. But I also do have 2 different styles of dollies, so depending on what I'm carrying in and how far I have to go, so take that in mind. And then also, in terms of what you want to bring to the show, make sure to bring food, bring water.
Oh, water,
Give
water,
a
water.
bottle of water to your neighbor. That's instantly going to make you a friend, and, you know.
Yeah.
If
Instant
you are
friends.
outdoors, even if you have a canopy, which you absolutely should, have the sun hat, have the sunscreen,
Yep.
and you know, as I was saying, wet wipes.
We also have
yeah.
like a little bag we
So-
put together, some essentials too.
So here's some things that you might not think that you need. Okay, so we have in here ibuprofen. It is a long day on your feet. You might be out in the sun. You're going to get a headache. It's going to happen. Just bring them.
Yeah.
Also, if you bring enough, everybody loves you.
Yep.
A little notebook to take notes. Also,
names.
sometimes people will have a notebook out there to start a mailing list, so that can be something that you can do as well. I always bring a nail file. Without fail, it happens every time. I always break a nail or chip it or something because you're setting up big booths and chairs and all that kind of stuff. Pens, extra pens, and then we also have in here some E6000, depending on obviously what you're working with. But we also have some findings. You know, there's jump rings, head pins, extra ear wires. You know, things can break. Or another great thing to do is bring some chain extenders with you, so that if someone
we have
sees
some over here.
yeah, so if someone sees a necklace and they go, oh, it's too short. Hey, you know what? I can extend that by 2 inches for you. And that's why we have our little tiny toolkit there.
Oh, yeah.
Because you won't be making jewelry there. You'll just be having, you know,
yeah.
your little tools.
And the price tags.
The price tags are key. This is the ring sizer tool that you're going to get with the giveaway. So
It's really a finger. Let's face it, it's really a finger sizer tool.
It
isn't
is.
finger sizer,
You're checking what size is this person's finger, because if your rings are, if you have sizes marked on your rings, then they won't have to try them all on.
Yeah, and one thing I want to I'm going to pull it out here. So
Oh,
this
yes.
is my little trick.
This is my favorite.
From my years of bartending. So, you know, someone walks up to your booth and, oh, you know, hi, how you doing? You're just, you know, just polishing stuff. I'm not really polishing it. But the thing is it makes people, well, you are. But it makes people at ease. There's something about, because otherwise you're standing at your booth and you're like, hi, how can I help you? And then people like just don't want to approach you. So, hi, oh, welcome, come on over.
Also, it looks like your
how's your day
jewelry
going?
is
Yeah.
well maintained and
Right.
it's clean.
Just don't lick
Or
it.
don't lick it. Don't do that. Don't do what
But
she
you know,
did.
but you know what? Stand there and just have something to do. I know some people who, if they bring extra people and their booth is large, sometimes they'll sit there with a beading mat and they'll actually make jewelry in front of people so
Oh,
that they
yeah.
can see the craft.
Oh,
That's always
great.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
I love when people do that, especially with like chainmail because it's so tiny and intricate, and then you can see this piece coming. And then if you stop back by a booth later and someone now has this long, beautiful necklace or piece or bead woven thing, or they can watch you kumihimo or
I mean,
bead
what a
weave.
story. I
So,
saw the
it's
person
cool.
make it and then
Yeah.
I bought it.
I saw a lot of people doing that at, I went to one of my first Renaissance fairs recently.
Oh.
And, like.
Did you have pierogi?
I did. But you have all these people like these guys are welding. I mean, that's next level stuff. But like you had some of these girls who were doing like this like knotting technique with their fingers, and it looks like they're doing like a cat's cradle. But then you look at what they have, and they have this beautiful like just woven necklace, and I'm just like, all right, that's cool. I want to buy one of those because I totally was like Instagram worthy. Like take a picture of that. That's your thing too. You want people to Instagram your stuff, and kind of really. I mean, you have an opportunity like no other at these shows to really make a connection, have someone be excited about it, and then tell their friends. That's what you're going after, So I always have a little picture frame on the side of my booth with all my social media tags so that if someone can tag me, so they're like, oh, I love that. Look at that, guys.
And then they just take a quick picture of your tags and then. Wow, you guys, you're so socially
I feel like I've been doing this a
media advanced.
But always have a little something to do, even if it's just polishing or just, adjusting or that kind of thing.
And I would say always say hello to people because you don't want to be like too upfront, but you always want to acknowledge
And
that someone's
you don't want to
come
be
over.
too
Yeah.
grumpy. I mean, I would be guilty of. I mean, the Rose Bowl was a physical endurance challenge because you would be on hot blacktop. Half the time you'd be in the sun. It would be hot.
Yep.
And it was a long day, and you would have gotten up at 4 in the morning or whatever. So sometimes I would just be kind of huddled in a little bit of misery, and I would have a giant sun hat on and sunglasses, and people can't see your face, and I would just sit there real quietly. And that's not the best.
That's not the best experience for the
Yeah.
customer.
I mean, you have it would.
Yeah.
But when I did find that when I engaged people, when I talked to children, or if someone had a question, you answer pleasantly. You don't overwhelm with information.
And be aware of, like, if you have a friend, what you guys are talking about. I have walked away from booths before where the people behind it are having, like, an inappropriate conversation.
Oh.
Yeah, and then you just feel weird being there.
You're
It's
like, I
just
did not want to know that about your personal life.
Yes. So be aware of that, too, because, you are
Or they're just-
representing your line and your company. And
Or they act like their personal conversation about the party last night is more important than answering your questions about the jewelry. And you go, oh, well, okay, never mind. I'm going to go somewhere else.
Exactly. I'm going to love
it
that
just gives
piece,
you a bad
but-
feel. It's it's the same as walking into a store and all the sale associates.
Yep.
Like, here's the thing, we always experience it when we go into a store and someone goes, "Hi, how can I help you?" And you're just like, "I'm good. I'm just gonna look," because you're
back
6
off.
inches in the store.
Yeah.
So, but it's different. Like, "Hi, let me know if you need any help."
Yep.
And then you just go back.
Yeah.
It's that kind of relationship that you just have to sort of feel out. And I've definitely met the designers who are really shy and this is my stuff and they're excited about it, but they don't know how to react to people. It's okay. Just work on it. Bring a friend. It always kind of helps put you at ease. If you're not a seller, if you're not super bright, but you love doing this, that's okay. That doesn't mean that you can't sell at a show. It just means that you just have to approach it a little bit differently, and you'll find your niche. And honestly, be like, oh yeah, I made this. I was inspired by, my daughter. Her favorite color is purple, so I thought she'd really like that. And just share your story, even if it's small and simple. It doesn't have to be big and brassy.
It shouldn't be too big, because sometimes people, they really do just like the necklace, and maybe they don't want to listen to, no matter how compelling and dramatic your story is of your escape from the desert or whatever your story. Sometimes people are like, and they just want to get away. So
Yeah, it
has
takes
to
a little
be-
experience to read that
Yeah.
customer as well. Maybe they want to engage you. Maybe they just want to look for right now. You know, it's the start of the show. They're just taking their first lap, seeing what everyone's got today. You know, you don't have to be right on top of them. So they'll let you know how they want to be approached. Just be open and just listen.
And I think if you are shy, because a lot of us are, or if it's really scary to do your first show, I think it is a great idea to maybe create a little space where you are making something.
That's
and then
fantastic.
you can just go, you're just making, you don't have to make a lot of eye contact, you just can go up and say, hi, let me know if you have any questions, and go back to
I think that's
your
a great
creating.
idea.
And that might be a little easier for you.
Well, because then they could be like, what are you doing? And then you'd be like, oh, I'm actually doing this. And, you know, it's peyote. And here's some examples of, you know, some finished pieces. I just started this one. But then it gives you something to talk about where you're not selling, because a lot of people aren't comfortable selling my stuff,
Yes.
you know.
And a lot of
So
people
it
aren't
gives-
comfortable being sold too.
Right.
Exactly. So it creates that, it kind of breaks down that little barrier right away, and then you're good to go.
Just make
Yeah.
sure you do acknowledge them. So even if you
Oh,
are
yes.
head down creating, just make sure you quickly just say, hi, welcome, and then go back. It
Yeah.
can be simple like that.
Yeah, talk about the weather. If they come over with a coffee, oh, coffee? I love coffee,
mean-
you know, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's great if, say, you're having a lull. Then it's great to be doing something and not look like you're
Crickets.
you know, and in and of itself, you doing something is interesting
Yes.
and will attract people.
Yeah.
And then when you do have people, you will not have time to make something. You will be busy helping people. And I found I was continually straightening my displays. 'Cause
Adjust stuff,
the minute
yeah.
you lay stuff on a tray like this, somebody picks it, goes, hey, Susie, this is great. Oh, what? And they walk away. And you're like, oh. And you never say anything to the customer. Obviously, this is part
you
of
just-
the experience.
just
But you
change,
just,
you know.
maybe when they're not looking, you straighten it. And I found that I was constantly doing that. And if somebody buys something, you're going to put something new in its place if you have it, or you're going to rearrange.
Right.
Yeah.
So there'll be plenty to keep you busy, but for those times,
Yeah.
you either want to be polishing, maybe making something. Don't be eating food like obviously in front on your jewelry. People will stop. I always go, ew, is there food on my jewelry? You know, if I'm
Yeah,
buying
right.
it, did that lady get food on the jewelry? It's not nice.
Well, I've actually had the reverse experience where someone came up and she was eating a hot dog, and I was like,
You're like, please don't touch my, please,
and I'm just like,
please don't.
like the whole time, it's like the cup on the edge of the
Oh.
table. It's just like you
Oh,
just can't.
have
you're
you
just,
ever
you're just
had-
watching her? It's just like,
Have you ever had the soda of somebody's soda on your table?
no, I
Sometimes
haven't
people
had that.
at
but
swap
yeah.
meets, it was very hot weather, and
Yeah.
everyone, customers and us alike, we were chugging. You know, at that point, you're like, you didn't care if it had sugar in it or not sugar. You were just drinking any drink, and people would leave cups on the far corners of my table.
Yep.
And sometimes they weren't all the way empty. So this is like something to keep an eye out for.
Ooh, bring a little or a large trash bag, because
Oh,
people
yeah.
will leave stuff and you can't take it and go to the trash bin that's
No, you
far
can't.
away. Just grab it and just put it in your little trash
And
bag.
I would
that you
would
got.
make my own trash. I would be like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm throwing away this price tag or this plastic bag
Yeah,
that used
piece
to
of
hold
tape.
jewelry.
Yeah.
Or my food trash.
Right.
Or-
That way you're keeping everything clean though. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can put it underneath your table there.
And people will come up to you and say, do you have a trash can? And
Yeah.
it's just nicer if you say yes.
Yeah, and it's nicer for you and your booth, and don't have trash all hanging
You
out.
will gain their goodwill instead
professional.
of their resentment.
Yep.
Exactly.
And I know we have a couple more questions.
So, no, we just have a few viewers who are curious about pricing.
Oh, okay, sure.
Ooh.
We have some pricing questions, just general. How do you price your goods? So we had talked about this earlier.
Yeah, there's kind of a formula, and then we're going to debunk that formula.
Yes. Okay.
Oh boy.
So
Yeah, because this is a question that, I struggled with when I first started, because
Me too.
that's kind of how do I price it, even for online or at a show. So, all right,
Okay.
let's get into it.
So first off, figure out your cost of materials. That's a really great place to start. Are you using sterling? Are you using plated, gemstones, glass beads?
How much of it are you
How
using?
much are you?
Right.
So keep track. So like no, for instance, is like this item here, I spent X dollars on the materials for. That's what you want to
I
know
bought
first
the
off.
bracelet. I bought 4 tubes of seed beads, but I used 1/4 of each.
Exactly.
Right. I used a spool of thread,
Yeah. And if you
everything that
I
goes
used
into it.
I used up a needle and threw it away. You know.
And I think you bring up a good point of like I used 1/4 of a tube. So don't do like if let's say you made this, you used 1/4 of a tube, count the cost of a quarter of the tube.
Right.
Don't count the whole tube.
Right.
So yeah, figure out exactly what you spent on it, and then figure out how long it took you to make it and what you want to pay yourself per hour.
Yeah.
So that's your labor cost, and everybody's labor cost is different, what they want to make. So it could be
You may feel that you're donating your labor because this is maybe for charity only. And you may feel like, okay, I'm donating everything. I'm not going to charge a ton for my labor. It's not for me. It's for the charity.
right.
Right, and I think the intricacy of the work could play a factor as well. If you're doing a tiny bead weaving, it might take you just as long to do something else, but this is tiny and intricate. Is your labor higher then? Just, it all kind of depends. But cost plus labor.
And
Take that formula.
What about the time spent designing?
Well, I consider that labor cost for me.
Yeah.
It's not just the physical making, but that goes into my labor cost kind of from start to finish.
What if you worked on a design and then maybe, and sometimes it's hard to quantify how much time you spent on that design because maybe you were working on something else and you had an idea. But what if you you have to bear in mind, am I only ever going to make one of these? Or do you go, people like these. It wasn't a 100-hour project.
Right.
So I'm actually going to make either a couple more or a lot more. And then
and you could
might
say,
be able
I'm
to
going to
lower
make
your
that
price.
in 4 different colors. Well, there's not really extra design work for me, aside from choosing the colors. It's then just creating the piece.
Right.
So if you take your cost and your labor, the other factors you have to think about are, the time it might take you to set up your spreadsheet to do all this. That's your time too, technically.
Your table fee.
Your table fee, your seller fee, your shipping costs.
Your listing costs.
Yep.
Whatever other costs you have. So I think what we were talking about is, let's just give an example with actual numbers. It might be a little easier.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's say your materials are $10, and let's just, to make life easy, say you want to pay yourself $10 an hour. Okay, so then it takes 2 hours. So $20 worth of labor, $10 worth of supplies. You're at $30.
Yep.
And then I would say you're not going to know exactly what portion of the $100 table fee is going to go towards that. But I would say like maybe add $3 to $5, something like that. So now you're at
So you're saying add 10%.
Add something, add something to give you that little cushion to cover some of your other incidentals.
Right.
So maybe then you priced it at $33, $35 before shipping if you're going to ship it.
Right. So one way you can kind of think about it is, if I sold this at a booth, let's say I took my $30 piece, if I sold this at a booth, what part of the booth fee do I want to add? But if I sold it online, what would be the shipping cost? For me, depending on the booth fee, it's easy to take that shipping cost. Let's say I know it's going to be $8 to ship it. Okay, half, it's $4 at the show.
Okay.
So that's a gauge that I use. But then once you figured out all that,
You're not done yet.
you're not done yet. Would somebody buy it for that price?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the value? What's the perceived value? What's the work? Because there can be something that is something simple and strung. Okay, well, there's work that goes into that. But there might be more perceived work for something else, something more intricate or bead woven.
And I hate to say it, but especially if you're in a kind of a swap meet gift fair situation and not at a specialty art fair where
Look
people
at
are
where
really,
you're at.
Yeah.
people may not really appreciate your hours because let's face it, there is stuff made in other countries by in less expensive labor, and they might say, well, I could buy that at the mall for this tiny sum, and you have to be ready to either say, okay, thank you for looking, or you can say, well, my materials are made in the USA. These, this is genuine silver and gold plating. It's lead-free, it's nickel-free, and these are real turquoise. Whatever you have to say about added value. At that point, and this is just my opinion, materials come into play. If you can talk up your materials, and without being specifically derogatory about you don't even know what they're really comparing you to, just try to indicate that your quality may be higher.
Well, and this might be a good time to put a little sign next to a pair of earrings that says, gold filled, sterling silver. Have a little something so people see
Handmade.
that price tag and then they see that.
Yeah.
What I like to do is I do usually have a range. My personal favorite thing to do is really intricate bead woven earrings. They take a lot of time. So let's say even at the $10 an hour, but it took me 5 hours to make something.
Yeah.
So that's $50 worth of labor. And then probably the materials aren't that much because it's just a lot of labor. So maybe it's like $55 worth of, that would be my base price is $55. But I'm like, I love them. I don't think someone's going to pay more than $40.
Yeah.
So I have to lower them to $40. But I'm going to have some other items on my display that maybe took me 5 minutes to make and $2 cost.
Yeah.
So, okay, so $2 materials and what would be
like 50 cents
50
of labor.
cents of
Yeah.
labor or $1 labor.
But you're going to
$3.
charge $10 or $12 or $15.
Yeah, so I'm not going to charge $3 for those earrings, even though, you know, that's what the formula tells me I should charge. I'm going to charge 15 or 20, and that's going to balance.
Yeah, so you have to balance the stuff that you have on your table or on your store, wherever it
Yeah.
may be. And then also be aware that if you're shipping something like this, it's going to be heavier than shipping something like this. You know, same amount of work, maybe same amount of cost, but the shipping will be different.
Right.
Oh,
Take that into consideration as well.
I want to bring up something because we're talking about pricing and we are talking about selling. And you get this inquiry over the internet as well, but when you're on the spot live, you have to kind of know what your answer is. You're selling, Julie. Hi, Julie Bean. I love your jewelry. In fact, I am hosting a party and I'm giving everyone presents. I'm going to buy at least 10 pieces. What can you do for me price-wise?
And then, in that case, you want to have, like Sarah's saying, in your mind, what's your answer going to be? And then I would say, oh, you're buying 10 pieces? I can give you a 20% discount.
Yeah.
Know ahead of time. And
Yeah.
then if their friend comes next week and asks you, you will tell the friend the same thing.
Yep.
And everyone, you know, and you may even have a card if on your postcard it may be like 20% discount available for large orders or discounts available for, and you stick to your policy.
Yeah.
And I was telling Julie a little trick I had when someone would try to bargain me down on a one piece, and I did it because I was on the spot and I didn't know what else to do, and I didn't do this to be like sly, but I had a small gram scale, and most of my stuff was sterling or stones, and I would put it on the gram scale, and I would be really nervous and frazzled, and I'd look at the price and go, oh, no, I'm sorry, and people just assumed because I was looking at a scale and a number that, oh, okay, that's what it's worth.
Right.
And they usually,
Interesting.
or I would just say, I can give you $2 off, I'm afraid I'm unable to go any lower. It is sterling silver. And they, oh, okay, and usually people accept this kind of hard evidence. And in my case, it was sort of desperate, and I wasn't lying, but I was not being precise at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but that's an opportunity then for you to again talk about the quality and this is what you're getting for what you're paying because it's that value and that perceived value.
Yeah.
And I think another thing to consider is if you want to sell wholesale, and if that's your goal.
Yeah.
So wholesale, if you're wanting to sell, like I'm thinking in terms of like 2 boutiques. Say you want to start selling your jewelry to boutiques. A lot of times a boutique or a store is going to want a 50% discount. That's pretty standard wholesale. So let's say you've made this pair of earrings and you're going to price it at $20. But you also want to do wholesale. Are you willing to sell that for $10?
Yeah.
If not, boost your retail price so that if you really, really want to get $20 at the end of the day, but you also really want to focus on wholesale, you need to be selling that piece for $40.
Yeah.
And now you know why boutiques are so expensive.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and that's just the way it is. And you got to think, do I want maybe 80 or 90% of my business to be wholesale? Okay, I'm okay that I might not sell as many pieces retail because I
Right.
know that they're higher priced, but I'm really focusing on that wholesale customer, and I'm going out and I'm soliciting boutiques to buy my goods. So I realize that to the average customer, maybe my prices look a little high, but they have to in order for me to make what I really want at the end of the day wholesale.
And that goes for saying for consignment as well. That's
Yeah.
another way that you could sell your jewelry. I did that for a while, actually. I sold my items on a fashion truck. It was like a food truck, but it was a fashion truck, so you could walk in and shop. It's fantastic.
Okay, I've never
Love
heard
Los
of
Angeles.
that.
Yes, LA's great.
LA's great. But yeah, but that was actually a really great opportunity for me because I would give her the items. She would keep track of everything, and what sold, she would then give me the portion that we had worked out. It was a percentage. But that was a great opportunity for me because she actually gave me valuable feedback, because when you're not there, it's different when someone comes and sees and knows that you're the artist, but when they're just shopping and they're just shopping.
And they're honest.
They're honest with the store clerk, you know, and they're like, oh yeah, like it's not really my style, or like, oh, whatever, or wow, what a great piece, you know, whatever it is. That was always valuable feedback because it's unfiltered. So that's always good if you're thinking about starting out. Also, that way you don't have to pay any booth fees. They only pay you from what they sell. So the only downside is they're holding onto your merchandise for you, but that's okay, you know, if you're okay with that while they have it. But that's a great thing to do,
I just wanted to say something about feedback when you are present.
Yes.
Have a thick skin, have a pleasant smile, and listen.
Yeah.
Listen. When I started, I can't believe how little I knew, and there was not as much internet information. I was literally like, I don't know how big is a bracelet? I'll just make one that fits me. Well, apparently I have a small wrist, and I didn't know that. And so people would pick up my bracelets and go, oh my God, why is this so small? And oops, but I learned something.
Right.
Yeah.
And also I found out and this is a tip, everyone, I would make necklaces. I would just design something on my board, and then I would fasten a clasp, and I would be looking at the necklace, and I would put the clasp on the right, because I'm right-handed, I don't know. But if you put that necklace on, all of a sudden the clasp is in your left hand. And people ask me over and over, why are your clasps at my left hand when I fasten the necklace? This is really hard, because most people are right-handed.
Right.
And no one ever told me about that. I didn't think about that, but I'm telling you, if you have your bracelet down on a board and you're looking at the front of it, put the clasp on the left side.
Yeah. That's really smart. And I just want to really quickly go back to your thick skin comment. You will, through the course of doing shows, hear a comment or two that you don't like, and
Oh yeah.
sometimes, you know.
Oh, you want to hear my favorite? It's not bad, but it's just
like, oh, no.
No, it's not. Oh, I wouldn't say anything. It was just like, but it was a thing. This is a real comment you might actually get. We're talking about beaded jewelry here, handmade, and ladies would come by, and some of them they would be wearing gold and diamonds, and yay for them. I wish I had a lot of gold and diamonds, but that was their style of jewelry, and they would pick up something like this, and they'd go, oh, I only wear real jewelry, and they'd walk on.
Yeah,
and I'd go, bye.
I'd be like, and they might meet your eye or they might not meet your eye.
Yeah.
But they would be remarking to one another, and you'd be sitting right there.
Well, but that goes back to, you can't please everybody.
Yeah.
Make what you love to make. Don't try to go for a specific customer, you know? I mean, obviously have your brand, but, if somebody doesn't like it, that's okay.
Yeah, and we
I don't
all
like
have it
everything.
happen.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't like everything.
I mean,
I don't
you
tell
should,
people.
You should like what you make.
Absolutely.
And you should want to improve. You may hear people say things that you just go, no, I'm not going to do that. But people may say, why are your bracelets too small? Why is the clasp on the wrong side? Oh gosh, I can't find really large. I had this one lady who would always, do you have any more large earrings this week? She always wanted an earring that would, what we now call a statement earring, or dust her shoulder. And if you listen to people, you find out, maybe if I make some of those, I'll sell.
Yeah, and try to take it in a positive light. I mean, some you can't. Some comments you can't. But on those other ones of like, oh, these bracelets are all too small, take that as a really good learning opportunity and be like, oh, that was great feedback. I can improve.
Yeah.
And pay attention to the non-verbal feedback as well. Because if someone comes and they stop and they look at this big tray of rings that you have and they disregard everything else, and that keeps happening, maybe you need more rings, or maybe space out your rings to draw their eye in different places.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider
What
as
is
well.
What's attracting attention?
Exactly. What's getting people over? What's the first thing they touch? That's
Right.
one thing I always look at. What's the very first thing they touch? Because that is what drew their eye over here
Oh,
to
good
look
one.
at.
Oh yeah.
What were
and
you
speaking
telling?
Of touching.
Yeah, what were that story you had
Which
about glass?
Oh yes. So I thought, oh, I'll have this beautiful display and it'll be all under glass.
Sounds expensive, also.
Yeah.
Sounds heavy.
Yes. Well,
Expensive
that
and
too.
heavy.
People they want to be able to touch.
Yeah.
They don't want to have to ask. They don't want to have to ask for a price. and they don't want to have to ask to try something
Because
on
then they
or
feel
touch it.
obligated.
They feel obligated. It's intimidating. So we had staged this table kind of how you might stage a show. You know, we have different heights, and we also have it very accessible. You want people to interact with your pieces. You want them, and you have to be okay with them picking them up.
Yep.
And they're going to want to try them on. You're going to want to have a mirror so they can see what they look like.
Mirror, yes.
So make your display approachable, make it touchable. Don't have everything behind glass. I had
Make it attractive.
yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I will say we wanted to show you all the different kind of display materials that we have for you, but I think we've spoken about color theming. If I was doing the table, I would try to stick to maybe all black, and maybe you would alternate it with one other color if you have a dark piece that you need on a light background. So you might do black and beige, or black and white, or black and gray, or white and gray. Just it will make it very cohesive. I wouldn't mix all these colors at once.
Yeah. And I would be hesitant of glass. I know if you are selling fine jewelry and you've got diamonds and stuff, of course. Even like I tried having a little glass case for some bead embroidered rings. No one wanted anything in the glass case.
It's kind of, it's like literally untouchable.
It is untouchable
in every sense of the word.
Yeah. And so I would highly recommend having it so that it's soft, it's touchable, it's easy to access.
Have the mirrors on the outside edges, or you know, when I have my tent, I'll hang like big oval mirrors on the outside so that someone can. Here's the thing: if someone goes, "Oh, let me try this on," and they step outside, the people walking by see someone trying on your jewelry,
And they come and look.
Yep.
That's
and
a
they're
good one.
like, "Oh, what's going on over there?" Because now they see that someone's engaged and brought in. Really quick comment about having a tent and having a table and everything.
Placement.
So I used to think, oh, let me put it further back so that people have to come in.
No, nobody wants to come in.
In my experience, put it out in the front. The only way I'll inch it back is if it's a really hot day and like just to get that shadow line.
Oh my God, have you ever had the jewelry get super hot? People
Oh,
pick up the jewelry and they go,
yes.
because,
Okay, so the other thing that I like to bring with me, and I'll either have it down by my feet, or sometimes out there if it's really hot, I'll have two little battery-powered fans that just, because who doesn't want to get cool for a second while they're looking at jewelry? So so as long as it's not going to blow away your stuff, but you know, have it pointed here so that people are like, oh, that air, that's so good. Yeah, isn't it hot today? And you got a customer now, you know, so.
And I love that. I have definitely altered my display throughout the course of a show, usually moving it forward, because I'm like, oh, look, I have a 10 by 10 booth. I want to make it all boutique-y. It's super cute. And then no one wants to come inside.
Yeah, because they'll feel trapped or obligated, or that you're going to be staring at them. And they're trying to hit as many booths as they can also.
And they also, if everything's tucked back, they can't see your stuff as they're walking by.
They won't be
They
attracted.
have to make an effort to come in. There's nothing to catch their eye. So if you do have it faced up front and they're just walking by, then you have more opportunity to catch their eye.
Yeah, because then you're already asking for that commitment to come into this, you know, it's window shopping. That's exactly what it is. Just picture yourself as a store. You got to put your best stuff in the window.
And don't be afraid to change throughout the show.
Absolutely.
Yes. If something's not working, change it. You know, you're probably there a good 8 hours or so. And so you started it in the back. People are just keep walking by. Change it. Take 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Get some friends. Move it around. Or move around your display. Put different stuff up front. Change it. You can. Don't be committed if it's not working.
Right. Yeah. And don't lose the whole day because you're like, no, I'm going to wait the whole day to see if I get a sale. No, just switch it around.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
And then take note of what works. Like maybe people just want to buy more in the afternoon, or they're more free with their money in the morning. You know, depends on the show. So
It usually takes a while to make your first sale.
Yeah.
It does. Don't be surprised if an hour, maybe more, goes by, because especially if it starts early. Let's say you're doing a Sunday show and starts at 10.
Yeah.
You're probably going to have a lot of people who are at church, who are having breakfast, you know, waking up slowly.
Breakfast. Brunch.
So I always find it takes like sometimes a good hour just to make a sale.
And don't get discouraged in that time. Just because someone's not there right when the show starts, don't get discouraged.
Usually in that early time, I would still be tweaking my layout, and I would be, too busy to worry.
Yeah, well, and that goes back to, have something to polish, it just takes that first little sort of point. So we did have another question.
I got a couple of questions. One was about shows and any tips on discouraging thieves.
Oh, okay. So tips for discouraging thieves.
Look alert. Just appear. If you appear alert and eagle-eyed, people are going to less want to try it.
Yeah, because trust me, nothing wants it to happen more than this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be on your phone.
Don't be on your
oh,
phone.
goodness me.
Also, make your heights so you can see everything. Don't have such a high display that you visually can't see your booth.
yeah.
Well, kind of
don't
like what
be
we have
trapped.
here. Put your high stuff on the side because you want you to kind of it to frame you a little bit. You know, if it's just you there. So.
Put your most your most valuable things in the center of the table, which I assume is going to be in front of where you most frequently will be.
Right.
The more the stuff is on the edge, the more people are going to feel like they can loiter on the edge, pretend to look at your stuff, and pocket things, which is why those things should be very inexpensive in case you miss.
And I know we're almost out of time, so I know we have another question. I want to make sure we get to everything.
It was about labor. You know, since some designers are more experienced than others. As a beginner, how should you determine how long you should be taking to?
This was actually always a question on my mind.
How long it should take. I'm sorry, I just want to clarify the question. The question is about labor and experienced designers versus not as experienced. And the question is how long it should take you.
Well, I think I understand. When I was starting and I wanted to sell something, and I knew in my heart that I took longer to make something than perhaps, I don't want to say I should have, but then someone who was very practiced. And I thought, well, I can't really charge extra because I'm a beginner.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So I think the question is, what do you do about that?
I think you look at a cost comparison or a price comparison.
Yeah, that was going to be my suggestion.
So let's say you're making a peyote bead woven bracelet, which a lot of people do, and they're beautiful. You can probably get a pretty good sense of what the average one is selling for. So if you do your labor cost and you're like 3 times what other people are selling them for, you're probably going to have to adjust.
And you want to make sure those prices you look at are handmade prices and not something that's been imported and is being, sold at an insane price and is probably made of inferior materials as well.
Yeah, so you want to look in line.
Yeah.
Which is also another good reason to walk shows. I often, if I'm considering doing a show, I will go to that show first as a customer, and I will browse it and then determine if that's a show I want to do. Yeah. But then you can also see what other people have and the price points they're selling at.
So we're going to wrap up. We're going to start to get our giveaway winner. So get your last comments in here. So we're just going to take one more second. So ladies, last tips here. One last tip for selling that you found over the years. Any secret that you found to be really helpful that kind of helps you maybe stand out, or one customer interaction that really stood out to you? Anything like that?
I had not pre-thought of that question.
Well, I
am unprepared.
Well, because we've shared a lot of personal stories, so and things are kind of coming up for us.
I can start out. I'm just nothing. It's kind of, I already said it, but it's the thing that I always tell people. It's when I started putting up those $5 earring displays that they were very pretty. Mm-hmm. They were eye-catching in and of themselves because they were gold picture frames with purple velvet and the earrings hanging. So that in and of itself was eye-catching. And then people would turn their head and then they'd see the $5 price. So to catch people's eye was something really attractive. I mean, maybe you're a genius interior designer and you're going to hang giant paper flowers in your booth and make it look, whatever way you have of catching people's eye in a positive way and make them go, oh, and be curious. To me, that's really important.
Yeah, I think mine, we've talked about before, is just really make what you love. Sell and make what you love. Don't try to be anything you're not, because it should be fun. It should be enjoyable. Make what you love. Don't try to chase a trend. Don't try to chase what other people are doing.
Be the trend.
Be the trend, yeah. Make what you truly love and what calls to you as an individual, because you will find your audience and your audience will find you.
Yeah, and my biggest trick is just to kind of be that bartender behind there having something to do, but also, I know it sounds cliche, but knowing myself, sometimes when I'm not smiling, I look mean. Smile. You know, just even if you just have a pleasant expression on your face, because sometimes you just get concentrated, and I know that about myself. And sometimes people are like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." You know, but it's just like I was concentrating, and I had a scowl, and I was like, "No, it's just sorry, that's just my face." but smile and just be personable. You know, you don't have to say hi to everybody who like walks by who's not even quite interested in your booth, but you know, just look around and
be nice.
Take your time and just be there and just enjoy it, because you're out there doing what you love. So enjoy the crap out of it, you know, just have fun. And, you know, if you're unsure, bring a friend with you that first time, you know, even just to have some hands to help set up, you know, it's always great.
Oh my goodness,
and then have your friend go off and enjoy the show. And, you know, you're like, I'm good here, you know, just check in later. And,
yeah,
you know,
tell them they're getting in the show free. So
yeah, exactly. Or you give them a piece of jewelry.
Yeah, there you go.
yeah.
Make them wear it that day and parade around.
Yeah. Always wear your own jewelry.
Oh, yes.
You're a walking billboard. Always wear your own stuff, except for we're all wearing caps today. But
you know.
if we were at a show. And we we do have a giveaway winner.
All right. Our winner is Runette Benjamin. So congratulations, Runette. Yay! Fantastic. So all you need to do, Runette, is just contact us at service@Beadaholique.com. I was going to say customer service, and I was like, no, that's not right. Service@Beadaholique.com. We'll get your shipping information, and we will send this out to you. So thank you so much for joining us, you guys. I know we've talked about a lot of stuff. This was a little bit of a longer class, but there's, you know, you guys had a lot of really strong questions, and we're here to continue to answer them. So if you have a specific question, or if you want us to help give a little bit more specific advice, hit us up on Facebook. I also answer Instagram, YouTube. We're here for you guys. We want to make sure that you guys can get the most out of selling your jewelry and be successful at it. So thank you to Julie Bean and Sarah Diamond. I'm Kat Sylvia. I'm the senior designer here at Beadaholique. Thank you so much. And you can get everything you see here by heading over to Beadaholique.com. And if you're new to us here at YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button below to get all the latest from Beadaholique. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.